Yes, hello, I am James Rowland, and today is the WNR448. We are live for AEW Full Gear 2022, but luckily I am not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE and AEW pay-per-view, it is the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How you doing?
Yes. Hello. Happy Saturday. Welcome to Full Gear, everyone.
Yes, it's going to be exciting. Are you excited for tonight? I mean, AEW maybe's not been the best in the past couple of months, but it's still an AEW pay-per-view. It still should be good.
I mean, exactly. We've got a lot to get into, but I mean, what's not to get excited about when you know the Elite are returning?
Yeah, exactly. So we've got so much to look forward to. A man who is our resident NXT and New Japan expert. It is Monty. How's it going?
It's going good, man. I'm holding on, taking it one day at a time, but I'm excited to be here, like you said. Full gear, here we are. I don't know. To answer your question before you even ask it, am I that excited about this? It's a mixed bag with AEW pay-per-views for me. It's usually a lot more good than negative. But, sometimes the negative can outweigh the good, and, this card kind of can come off like it's going to be long already, but we'll see. Hopefully it turns out to be a fun, even if it is a lengthy night, a fun lengthy night.
Do you know, Monty, 2 years ago when you first joined, you were a lot more positive. I feel I've taken some of your fire, and I apologize.
Oh, life and you.
That is going to be a T-shirt. You know that, and so do I. That's going to sell. And last, but by no means least, well, Gina dreams of running away, and when she cries in the night, James whispers to her, "It's okay. Someday. We've got to hold on to what we've got. It doesn't make a difference if we make it or not. We've got each other, and that's a lot for love. We'll give it a shot. We're halfway there. We're living on a prayer. Take my hand. We'll make it, I swear. Whoa, we're living on a prayer. Living on a prayer." I'm turning to William Shatner doing tunes, but I like it. Anyway, it is Gina. How are you?
Hello, everyone. It's going great. I'm definitely looking forward to this, but I feel like I'm looking forward to it more because I get to watch it live, because usually it's on a Sunday evening. So it being a Saturday, I'm super excited for this.
Yeah, one of my favourite things, Tony, is switching the AEW show back to a Saturday, so I'm pleased about that. And we have got a huge show tonight with Dynamite and Rampage to review, course predictions. We got special topics as well, and New Japan. But first, I got an email about the sexual chemistry between two people on this very podcast, and I was very surprised. And of course, as you listen,
oh god,
yeah, I know it's weird, isn't it? Like not normally. I wouldn't mention. I think, we should, because it's kind of been the elephant in the room, and especially for the first few months, and we talk about, sexual chemistry, and of course, the two people I'm talking about are, of course, me and Monty. Now, Monty, you knew I was going to mention you.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping it wasn't the siblings of this show, so yeah. I think I assumed it was.
I always knew it. I knew it all along. I had an inkling.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well,
are Gina and I in the way? Should we take a step back?
Should we take a step out the room?
Apparently, with NXT update, it gets very, very, very mixed. I suppose. But,
very heated. Very heated.
Wow.
Yeah, so what do you think about that, Monty? That'll stop us doing the show again, won't it?
Yeah, that'll just derail this entire show. No, I'm just playing. I don't know. The only thing I say is that usually when I come to these shows and talking about wrestling with you guys, sex is the last thing on my mind. So I don't know where this even. I don't know, man. This is my first time hearing about any type of unknown underlying chemistry here. What do you think? I'm interested in what you think about this.
Yeah, no, I'm happy. you know,
baffled, utterly
yeah,
baffled.
If you're baffled, so am I. You know, like, yeah. I mean, yes. I mean, who would? Yeah, I don't care. You know, it's like, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
yes,
okay.
fair. Well,
Yeah.
all
It's
right.
not awkward at all.
no. It's just yeah. So anyway, yeah, we'll see what happens. So we're gonna move on quickly, I suppose. we'll talk about how do you move on from that. I'm not sure, but we're going to talk about New Japan, of course. Battle Autumn. Now, Monty, please help me out in more ways than once. Yeah, I know. But the thing about Battle Autumn, for me, I'm kind of using it as like a one, show event. But it's kind of more like a 3 or 4 day tour normally, isn't it? Or am I wrong about that? You know how?
Yeah. That's usually how these. Yeah. Same thing with the Declaration of Power. It's a couple of shows up to the big show, basically. But Autumn, I guess the actual big show was November 5th. So, yeah.
So, and again, we have all watched it. I promise you, even if you hear our thoughts. So we're going to talk about it quickly, maybe not into the full depth. We started off with like I said, it's 5th of November, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship, TJP and Francesco Akira versus Bushi and Titan. Isn't that?
You can say Titan, but they say Teton. It's basically Titan.
Yeah, this was good stuff. This was good. I've seen TJP. He was in Impact a lot the past couple of years. He seems to have gone to Japan, and he's heavily involved in United Empire now, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So it was good stuff to start showing. Speaking of United Empire, Aaron Hanare, Gideon Gray, Mark Davis, and Kylo Fletcher defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi, Toru Yano, David Finlay, and Alex Zane. And I've got to say, Lord Gideon is living his best life. There is a man who I saw doing a terrible William Regal gimmick on the British Independence, going back 8 years. And I was as shocked as anybody when he is now the Sami Zayn, as we were told at the New Japan show, of United.
No, seriously though, he just really does look so out of place compared to the rest of United Empire. When I even first kind of saw him, I was like, who the hell was this guy? He looked like a homeless guy with the coat that he was wearing as well. And I was just like, what is this dude? How is he even that cool enough to hang with the United Empire crew? Will Ospreay, I'm definitely way cooler, I think. So if you needed another member, I'm right here.
Well, exactly, so it's a bit weird, but again, he's enjoying himself.
He's like the Ellsworth of New Japan.
Oh,
to be fair,
that's closer than Sammy, though. I was like, this is such a disrespect to Sammy to compare. Because
but I think
Gideon is not wrestling.
Yeah, I think he's more on the Ellsworth level.
He's barely wrestling.
Let's go with that.
If you can say that. Yeah.
Well,
as you saw in this match, James, he did nothing.
No.
They won, but he did nothing. So
no, but I tell you something, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but he has taught me a little bit about Japanese pronunciation, which hopefully I can use it in a little bit. But not too much. I will still butcher names up until we get that point. We've got Hikuleu defeating Yurihiro Takahashi. Monty, Takahashi's bunny didn't leave much to the imagination. I was shocked. Oh, this is not PG.
Yeah. That's Peter, man. Peter, hey, man. Yujiro, I know you were picking through the G1, but Yujiro, the Tokyo Pimp, by the way, is him. Speaking of pimping out, the Tokyo Pimp is Yujiro's gimmick. So that should let you know what Peter does for a living. But her interpretive dance, it did nothing to help him in this match as he lost in like 30 seconds. Oh, Yujiro.
I was feeling a little bit awkward watching her just do that. I was like, girl, stop.
Every time. No, it trust me, it used to be worse. You don't understand. Like, the camera angles used to be way, at least leave even less to the imagination. Like, her interpretive dance is actually gotten tamer over the years. But yeah, no. That's his whole stick. He's a pimp and
I really
teacher.
love that you call it interpretive dance.
Yes, that's what we call it. That's what we refer to it as. Between her and Miho Abe, who frequents Tai Chi's side, they're pretty much the main female faces of New Japan. Until they start to work with Stardom. So they're noticeable here. But yeah, Bullet Club staple at this point is Peter. So it didn't do him any good. He was fighting Hikuleo. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Hikuleo, like I said, made short work of him, then called out Carl Anderson, but the machine gun was too busy losing in Saudi Arabia to lose in Japan. But,
they're still referring to him as if he's the champion, so I guess it's not over. I don't know, man. I'm even confused. I was confused after watching the segment and them talking about it as if Carl is still there. So I don't know what's going on, because they even mentioned on the broadcast that it probably would make sense for New Japan to strip him. So I don't know.
And then we got the
I
IW.
mean, can I just also question the fact that Carl Anderson was so happy to go all the way to Saudi Arabia to lose instead of possibly having a great match with Hikuleo. So it's a real missed opportunity, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, but it's all it's about the zeros on the check when it comes to Carl.
So. Oh, for real. I mean, I would be definitely, if I was Carl Anderson, I would have definitely picked the one with the bigger zeros. So I'm not trying to condone that. I'm just saying in terms of from a wrestling fan's point of view, I don't feel like his match in Crown Jewel did anything beneficial for him.
Right.
Especially because he lost. And I think he would have he missed out on possibly a great match with Hikuleo at that point. It's just an opinion about it, really. I still hope we get to see that match though eventually.
Well, no, it's the same thing with wrestlers a lot, even with kind of football or Monty, as you would know, soccer, where you get the players and they kind of kiss the badge and they say how much they love the club, and then go to exactly the same thing. And at least with the Good Brothers, they're going, no, it's money, right? We're not going to make up any. We're not coming back home.
Right, we're not loyal to anybody but this chick.
We're going home to WWE with AJ. No, it's we just want the money. And again, I can understand that. It's just, it's a bit surprising in this climate to actually, kind of tell the truth.
Right. Yeah. Exactly, 100%. But it's still confusing what they're going to do. I'm really curious to see the future of the Never Openweight Championship, because right now it's getting held hostage, I guess.
Well, we talk about the future of the World Television Championship. We had the semi-finals, Ren Narita defeating Sanada. I nearly got Ren Narita's name wrong there. But your pick, Monty. Is it a changing of the guard? Because the way Narita was handled... Sorry, go on.
No, you're good. No, I was just starting off. Keep going. Go ahead.
No, I was literally got big plans for Ren and Sanada. I know you're a huge fan, but it kind of passed.
You two, this is why people think you have sexual tension. I fucking feel it now. No, after you, kind sir.
Bro, come on. So I have manners.
I can just notice it now. Now I can notice it too. I'm just gonna be very paranoid and worrying I'm interrupting something.
Now I just need to start antagonizing you. But that'll make it worse at this point, maybe. I don't know.
Big tails. So what do you think, Monty, anyway?
But you're right. You're right about Sanada. It's seeming like like you said, they're focusing more on the younger, establishing some of their younger faces. You'll see that as the night continues on, and or newer faces to the New Japan audience or in Japan audience, because they've been working over the last few years. A lot of these people like Ren Narita, like you've been watching Strong, you've been able to see his progression pretty much. It's funny, when he was a young lion, I thought he was going to end up as a Super Junior, and he just bulked up on me and became a mini Shibata really fast. But anyway, yeah, man, he's definitely, like you said, they said the future of this title was going to be about establishing younger talent. And you're right. At this point, Sanada, I would hate that, because I feel like Sanada, he's not even been anywhere close to reaching his peak yet. But injuries and just bad luck may have sped up that process, like you said, when you have young, hungry talent like Ren Narita developing as fast as he has, because he's already in a prominent position in his very first Wrestle Kingdom. So, yeah.
Well, the match itself nearly went 15-minute time limit, and if so, it would have been a coin toss. I fucking love
How
that.
you like that?
Yeah, brilliant. Let's do that. The other semi-final, Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Evil. Gina, why don't you talk some smack about Zack Sabre Jr.? Because Monty might think it's a good match, but I'm sure you'd say talk about it.
Oh, even Zach said it was a bad match.
Of course. The bitterness is always going to be there. Don't get me wrong, he's a good wrestler, and I'm enjoying his matches the more and more I see. Obviously, I'm still quite a noob. I've only seen a few matches starting from the G1 onwards, so it's still something to get used to. I still enjoyed it, but you know, Zach can lack all he wants from my liking.
Well, the thing is, I like Zach teaching Japanese people English and proper words.
Oh, yes.
Like wanker.
Like dickhead.
And dickhead. That's the two. Unfortunately, the same young lion got a beating from Evil. Another one dressed as Zach, which led to Sabre getting a head start. Zach is really entertaining. And all joking aside, it was a good match, and Zach showing how good he can be.
Yeah, man, and just out-tricked. Evil is supposed to be this dark, evil trickster, and every time Zach is just there to outsmart him. It's just, it's fun to watch. This one was way more dramatic than the G1 encounter, but I love how it played off the way the G1 ended up. Like, because you have the prior knowledge of how their match played out in the G1, it made the way that match started and how it ended up just flow perfectly.
And then we had an incredible tag match. That's not me calling it. That's what it was.
Oh, yes.
Incredible tag match. Master Wato and El Desperado defeating Hiromu Takahashi and Taji Ishimori. The junior heavyweight division still waiting on Kushida. And to be fair, I didn't know what was going on at times with partners turning on each other. But
they hated each
other nonetheless. Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm saying. It was Phil Ishimori landed a jumping knee on his partner. Wato pinning Hiromu, leaving only Ishimori standing as a match ends. But they won't do it. Will they do a 4-way at Wrestle Kingdom, Monty? Because again,
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the plan. Yes, that's currently the plan. I think that's why they did this match like this. They even drew the two teams, so they kind of did like a drawing for who the partners would be. So you saw people who don't get along have to team up with each other. Like you mentioned, Desperado and Wato fought each other basically the entire match, claiming to tag each other, but just slapping each other in the face or chopping. And like Hiromu had to fight most of the match alone because Ishimori would not tag in. It was just fantastic. One of the most unique tag matches I've ever seen because it actually, like you said, at times started to feel like the 4-way was happening then. But it was actually a tag match. And it was, again, so unique. They did things that was just I've never really even seen done in the format of a tag match because usually at some point teams work together in some way, shape, or form, but they had no quarrel about showing that they did not like each other. And I just love it. It was so smart.
Yeah, they did not care. Kevin Kelly had as many mic problems as me, I think, during the commentary of this event as well. And then up next, and like I said, I looked at what Gideon Gray, Lord Gideon, how he pronounced stuff, and I think now I can actually pronounce someone's name. So try it. I may be wrong, and it may be really offensive, but I am going to try my best because we have Kenta and Jay White versus Tama Tonga and, excuse me.
Okay.
Kazuchika Okada! Yeah! I got it right, yeah?
Well done.
That was so good. You didn't brutalize my husband's name. Yay!
Kazuchika Okada! See, that's me.
And you did it with,
the
like,
ring
you know,
announcer flair.
you did it with the sort of same energy level that they have in the G1. You know,
Yeah.
when they're, you know, just the opening part. That's kind of what you reminded me of.
Yeah. It literally, I think I got it here. It sounds like this.
King of Sports, New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Kazuchika Okada. See, there you go. I've got this.
Progress. Proud of you.
Oh, God, so am I. And that's it for today's show. No, we've still got a lot more. As for the match itself, Kenta tried for a quick pin, placing his feet on the rope. Referee caught Kenta, giving Tama enough time to drop him. Down the free flow. After a brief reverse sequence, Tama hit Kenta with a gun stun to win the match. And afterwards, White and the card had a stare down whilst doing it as well. I mean, it didn't tease the match too much at Wrestle Kingdom, but I cannot wait to read Kenta's book. Jaxie, I know it is your future husband. What did you think of this tag match?
It was really good. Kenta is just amazing in the ring as well, so it was just really enjoyable to watch both of them. Obviously, my bias was towards Okada, so I sulked a little bit after. I also thought it was a bit of a lackluster thing. I thought we might get more of a bit more storytelling after the match, I guess, between Jay White and Okada. But yeah, I guess I'm wrong there. Hopefully, we'll get some a lot more sort of storytelling, so to speak, in the next few weeks, like kind of leading up towards Wrestle Kingdom. Anyway.
Yeah, and what's crazy about it as well, and there's more and more things I kind of like with New Japan. There's 60 days till Wrestle Kingdom, so we've like 2 whole months kind of to build to this matchup. So again, it builds excitement. We already know what the biggest match of the year is going to be for New Japan. Like I said, we're going to enjoy the ride there as well. And then we had the WGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championship, FTR. Of course, Dax Harwood and Cash were the greatest tag team in history, defeating the United Empire, our hero, and yours, Greater Khan and Jeff Cobb. And we saw our heroes clash as Khan and Dax came to blows in the middle of the ring. This was an excellent tag team match. Khan couldn't score the finish, instead opened the door for a big rig attempt, and the FTR with their victory. Gina, how good are FTR? They're travelling the world, just showing how good they are.
I mean, I have a lot of respect for them because they're definitely obviously taking time away from their family, their hometowns, because they're traveling here, there, and everywhere. So I definitely have a lot of respect for them for that. And the fact that they always seem on top form in every match, no matter what production it's a part of. They always just, excuse me, I got a frog. Yeah, they always just seem to smash it wherever they go, and it's always so entertaining. You could say I'm biased because I've met them, but to be honest, if you listen to shows before we had met them, you would just hear the same sort of praise come from me for the team. They deserve a lot, and they deserve all the belts they currently hold, but they're just awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I weren't going to mention the fact that we have met them, but yes, we have met them, I suppose. I don't know, Monty, if we've mentioned that before, I'm not sure.
You always have to drop it.
Yeah, I don't recall. I don't know. I think it's my first time ever hearing this. You guys made up.
Oh, we have to tell you about it.
Yeah, so, but this was completely different to the Aussie Open match. And of course, I hope they'll be at Wrestle Kingdom. Credit to Khan and Cobb. Of course, they will be back. But again, just great tag team wrestling. But Monty, can they become a great, New Japan team? I don't think I'm wrong. I know they're a great team, but they talk about the kind of run in New Japan. Does that have to kind of be longer than, a couple of month period, if you know what I'm saying?
I think if you listen to the way they speak, because they're speaking about the Steiner Bros and speaking about a lot of people who, even if it was only for like tours off and on, people who spent prominent times in Japan, tag teams like the Road Warriors, all that, who spent time in Japan. So if they want to do something historic, like a lot of the things that they mentioned, then yeah, they'll probably have to stick around and actually run, actually be in Japan and do a lot more. But in their situation, it's still very unique. They're under contract. They hold other promotions tag belts. So even if I wanted them to be in tag league, as much as I would, because most of the time your champions are present in these tournaments, I understand that they have an obligation to Tony. They have an obligation to Ring of Honor and AAA, as much as I would want them in tag league. So I can see how they measure up against some of the other heavyweight tag teams and all of that. I mean, that's usually what happens, but it works. It still's fine. Whoever wins tag league is gonna fight FTR. So at least that's what I'm assuming. We don't even know. I don't even know if that's confirmed either. But it's so unique with their schedule because, like you mentioned before, they are champions in multiple promotions, and it's just, you know how it is. It's always weird as long as you're under contract and you're doing things like that. But they have a chance. Like I said, you got anyone who's been watching FTR, and I've been watching them since the NXT days, so I know how great those guys have been for a long time. And like you mentioned, it doesn't really matter who you put them in there with or where. They're just the model of tag team wrestling consistency. So I think they definitely can be one of the all-time great New Japan tag teams, but it's just, will they be allowed to be because of their other obligations? Will they be allowed to be because of just more business with New Japan? It's just so much up in the air with that. I don't know, but I do think as long as they have the belt, they're going to continue to show up and perform like the champions that they are, because that's just what they do.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Great tag team match. And then the main event, the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship, Will Ospreay versus Tetsuya Naito. We saw Naito beat Zack Sabre Jr. at Royal Quest to get this shot. We see Nia turn things back around with a quick sequence for attempting Destiny 2 more times. The second connected, Ospreay managed to kick out, try for Stormbreaker, which Naito reversed, survived another Destiny. Ospreay connected with a pair of hidden blades, then hit Stormbreaker and pinned him to retain his title. The crowd was into everything. Great match and closing sequence. Jaxie, Will Ospreay, I mean, like I said, been introduced to him this year. How great is this guy? And how good is it that he's British as well?
I mean, it's just very exciting to kind of see, British representation in a country like Japan, and done well. We're not always, we've got a lot of ins and outs with the WWE in America, but it's just really nice and refreshing to see New Japan wrestling, but then also see some British wrestlers over there. He's just always entertaining, such a high flyer. I don't know anyone that, even if you're not British, that wouldn't like something about Will Ospreay in terms of his moveset. He's always changing it up. And he just talks a lot of shit sometimes, So sometimes you actually just enjoy watching a wrestler chat shit whilst in the ring. So it's quite a nice medium, I think, especially because obviously Japan, they don't have as much of a loud crowd. So it just ends up meaning that you hear a lot more of what the wrestlers are either saying or shouting at one another. And it just makes for much more entertainment.
Yeah, it was an excellent main event. Monty, we'll get your thoughts on it. But also, to close the show, Ospreay cutting a promo and set up his next challenger. He offered an open challenge at the Stardom crossover show, or anybody for the Forbidden Door, but it seemed no one was willing to answer. The confetti fell, and Ospreay was leaving the ring. The lights went dark, and the video package played, revealing Ospreay's next challenger, Roughneck Shota Umino. Umino walked to the ring, stared down Ospreay, grabbed the mic, but instead of answering with words, laid out Ospreay and the rest of the United Empire, who stood by his side. He stood tall with Ospreay's belt, and it has been confirmed that Umino versus Ospreay is set for November 20th. It's a Stardom New Japan show with the IWGP US Championship on the line. And we talked about changing the guard earlier with Rita. Shooter here. What a reintroduction. A match for him to be involved.
Yeah, man, he's a star. You don't understand how proud I was to watch him when he made that entrance, because again, after you watch long enough, you see these young lions, and you may not know who they are. They're wearing basic tights. They're out there working hard, getting their ass beat for pretty much every match they're in and losing. But I remember hearing about Red Shoe's son and seeing him and watching him. He used to be pudgy. He didn't look like the same thing I say about Ren Narita when he was just very skinny, and now Ren Narita has a muscular or athletic build. You just see all the hard work and what they've been doing over the last few years, and you can see it. It's crazy. It's amazing to me how good he looked. It's like one of his heroes, obviously Hiroshi Tanahashi, and you can see a little bit of young Tanahashi with the hair color, the style, and then he's walking around, of course, with his the guy who he was a young boy for, a young lion for. for in John Moxley. He's still carrying his Death Rider jacket. He is the roughneck. He's, he's got like just a confidence about him when he walked, and just like the way he did the, I'm about to call it paradigm shift, but this Death Rider in New Japan, he did Moxley's finish on Ospreay and all of that. So again, it's just to see both of those influence seeping into his character. It's just such a beautifully crafted story. It makes me feel like they had this in the works for a long time as far as like how they were going to bring back Shota Umino. And then the fact that it's that United States title, that's Moxley's belt, something that he watched Moxley defend a few years ago. So again, it's just so beautifully done. They're just so smart with the way they book things in Japan. Again, I don't see you watch that, James. You cannot tell me that Shota Umino does not look like and feel like he's going to be one of the biggest stars in New Japan going forward. You can tell that the way they presented him and like the way they made Ospreay facial expressions and all that. Because again, Ospreay beat him up pretty brutally. I don't know, I forgot the exact card that was on, but it was right in front of Red Shoes. So they have a history and they have beef. So I just love it. Again, just beautifully crafted stuff, and I just cannot wait to see just how far Shota can take it Shooter can take it, because he is awesome, and I'm glad that the people in Japan get a chance to see. It's the same thing with Aussie Open and some of the United Empire. So glad to see that some of those foreign guys who've been in strong, working hard, are finally over in Japan in front of those audiences to kind of get that true New Japan feel of being on the roster. So this was great, man.
Yeah, and another thing I liked as well was the fact, this is something that we've talked about, especially with Jaxie, you have mentioned as well, with the women's wrestling in Japan now kind of getting not more respect, because obviously I know with Stardom and other promotions how good it is, but with the association with New Japan, like I said, we're going to see the US title match on the same night as the Stardom historic crossover, so it can only be kind of a good thing. And the women's title will be on the line, if I'm right. I mean, Monty, help me out quickly. Cause
Kairi and Mayu Iwatani.
Right,
Mayu Iwatani.
What Monty said versus the former Kairi Sane, which we know.
Mayu Iwatani.
I
mean, that should be a good match either way. I'm just more excited just to see Kairi back in a wrestling ring. So this will be very exciting. This will be the first time for me seeing her wrestle since being out of the WWE. So I'm excited to see kind of what she. Yeah, I know. I've seen like clips on Twitter, but I haven't actually watched a full match yet. So definitely looking forward to watching this match between both women.
And also other news in Japan. The Great Muta is basically winding down his wrestling career. And again, in Japan, we see this with Jushin Thunder Liger. I think a couple of years ago, it was kind of like a farewell tour. And it was announced that he will be facing a Pro Wrestling Noah event on the New Year 2023 event, January 1st at Budokan Hall. It will be Great Muta versus Shinsuke fucking Nakamura, which is incredible. I got caught out because then they announced a Suzuki versus Sheamus match, and me being such a fucking mark, wasn't sure. But it was how crazy the Nakamura announcement was that kind of got me. I know I'm not going to get away with it, but this is crazy, though.
Yeah, man, it's great. I mean, like I said, I know, like what you mentioned, they go on tour. They show a lot of respect to their legends. They usually let the legends pick who they would like to face in these situations too. So I'm pretty sure this is one of the things, kind of like his match. Yeah, kind of like his match with Great O'Khan. Was in the situation he's had with him. I'm pretty sure he just wanted to get involved with him before he rode off into the sunset. It's a similar thing here. And it's just awesome that that Shinsuke is allowed to do this. He hasn't been in Japan wrestling wise in a very long time, since he signed that deal. So the fact that he's allowed to be in the ring with a guy like the Great Muta, it's just, man, what an honor. I know that is for him and just for anyone who's going to be able to watch it.
I mean, it's definitely very exciting to hear that WWE are willing to, allow Shinsuke. I'm pretty sure this is the first time that they're allowing this sort of open contract where he can go and into another promotion just to wrestle. I'm hoping that this is like the start of WWE opening up, the so-say forbidden door and especially with everything to do with Carl Anderson. I'd like to think that there is potential for, even some wrestlers from New Japan to come over to WWE and have a few great matches. But I'm telling you straight, if you bring Okada over to WWE and then you actually make him lose, I swear, Paul Levesque, me and you are going to have words. Because if you're going to actually bring Okada over to WWE, it needs to be against someone like Roman Reigns, and he needs to like absolutely smash it, or like be in a tag team match. So, you know, obviously it's not a title match or something.
I can't
But
see
that'll be
that.
awesome.
Sorry, sis.
I know.
A girl can
Wishful
dream.
thinking.
Like I said, it does open up the door for possibilities down the road. You know, we don't know what could happen. So we're going to move away from New Japan now. Like I said, we got. What's the next big thing, Monty, coming up? Is it the? I mean, I know we just talked about the
pretty much the
show.
crossover show. Yeah, crossover show, and then you have Best of the Super Junior and Heavyweight Tag League, which is basically their tag team, like kind of G1 or New Japan Cup tournament, kind of. That's kind of how it is. I'm trying to figure. I think it's a point system this year again, so I'm not. It's kind of gonna be like the G1 instead of like the New Japan Cup. But anyway, So you have tag leagues for the junior division and the heavyweight tag division.
Well, I know Stardom's on pay-per-view, so at this moment in time, we'll wait until it drops on New Japan Well to watch.
It's going to be a delay, but it'll be there, I think.
So I guess the next big thing that we're going to do is like the full review of Wrestle Kingdom at the start of the year. Also, we'll be looking to doing that. And, of course, the main event for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, Jay White versus Kazuchika Okada. So we'll move on now to PlayStation Fight Forever trailer. There's not much we haven't seen before in commercials or gameplay videos. I think the most notable difference is the lack of CM Punk, who had been front and center on the previous cover art and promotional materials. We've seen Kenny Omega, of course, one of the leaders of the AEW games and recent fighter of Punk backstage, get that position with MJF looming over him. Now, Gina asked you, because obviously we're all going to buy Fight Forever, I assume, but I don't think we were expecting CM Punk front and center. It makes sense for Kenny Omega, but there's been no official announcements yet on the Punk situation either.
I mean, what is your actual question, James?
Well, do you know what? I get asked a lot. What are your thoughts on the AEW game and the whole thing with CM Punk being the cover star? Would you still want him to be the cover star? Would you change him as cover star? Who would you have as a cover star? Ricky Starks, probably. Silly question, I know.
Ricky Starks star, but no, like, I mean, if you asked me for my first thoughts on who would be a cover star, my first thought would go to Kenny Omega. But that doesn't mean that I like CM Punk any less. The situation that went down happened between them. There's nothing that personally happened to me. I think it was stupid of them, but everybody makes mistakes, you know. So I've got nothing personal against CM Punk. I think he maybe shot his shit a little bit, because if his attitude really is the way that it's been described to be backstage, then he's kind of dug this kind of grave for himself where no one really wants to be in his company. And he clearly brings a negative atmosphere around him. So I can see the downside for Punk, but that still doesn't mean that I rate him any less as a wrestler. But I do feel like right now, out of the two, if I had to choose a cover star, it would be Kenny.
Right, so this is a question I'm going to ask proper. I'll ask everybody here because Jaxie, I think you were talking about CM Punk and what side were we on compared to him and Colt Cabana, you know?
Oh, yeah. It's just, I think it's such a strange one because, you know, there's a real sort of disappointment in terms of how everything has gone down and how everything's been handled. There's a certain level of professionalism everyone should have, whether it's within their job, whether or not it's, you know, on TV, whether or not you're live. I don't think that Punk showed any level of professionalism during that press release, and this is exactly why it's kind of gotten to this sort of stage. That there's not really a sort of side that I want to say that I'm taking at all, but from sort of a standpoint of the company itself, Kenny Omega has been the face of AEW since it's, kind of originally started. Well, one of the faces. So it understandably makes a lot more sense to have had him on the cover. When the Fight Forever promo picture first came out with CM Punk on, I'm a CM Punk fan, but I still was like, why is Kenny not front and center? Because in terms of, out of both of the two, Kenny's held the company the longest. Kenny's helped carry the company the longest. It just strategically makes more sense, So I don't really have an issue with the change in this, because I personally didn't think that CM Punk had done enough in AEW to have earned him like sort of front of and spent a center spot in the first place. I mean, I imagined he would have been on the cover, but now that he's kind of been replaced, it does make you think whether or not we will be seeing a Punk character in the game. So that's a bit of intrigue when it comes to sort of the games.
I was about to say, if CM Punk has his way, his downloadable character would probably be worth like $100. But like, you can have me in the game, but you have to spend
microtransactions. Yeah, get everyone to actually buy me individually. I'm sorry, Punk, I love you, but I am not buying any wrestler separately from that game. So if you're not in that game, I'm not playing as you.
Monty, do you reckon CM Punk will be in the game in itself? And whose side are you on? Whose side are you really on? Is it Punk Cabana?
I'm on my own side. I have no clue about whose side to pick.
Good answer, Monty. Good answer.
Yeah, I can't do that. I don't. Again, at the time when all this stuff happened, I was definitely pissed at Punk because, like I said, the way he went about this. If you have a problem with somebody, you want to do this, they could have did all of this having nothing to do with this press conference. And who knows how this happened? Even if we may not even ever found out anything. But with the press conference, with everything,
Tony Khan couldn't actually step up and actually cover the mic and tell his
stop him
to shut the fuck up.
Please change the line of questioning. Anything. Don't just sit there. It's just it got out of hand, and I do blame that on Punk. But I'm not against them, or I'm not on the other side because. Whatever, people are frustrated. I understand wanting to vent your frustrations and all that. But, again, it's just a way to do things like you mentioned earlier, Jaxie. And as far as him being on the cover, I agree. Kenny Omega has literally been right next to Aubrey and whoever else was over the AEW game section from the very beginning. So it actually just made more sense from the beginning to keep Kenny in that situation. But I do understand marketing. They think more people who may not even be knowing anything about anything will recognize Punk's face. So it's like, why? Let's put Punk right here, even if he's not, like you said, as important or prominent in AEW yet. He is a big name. People recognize him. They'll buy it just off the sight of, oh, this is CM Punk. Oh, I didn't know he wrestled here. I guess that's what they were thinking. But either way it goes, it does make a lot more sense it makes more sense to me if you stick with Kenny because, again, like you mentioned, he's been carrying the flag longer, and honestly, it's a video game cover. So I mean, it's not that important.
Yeah, it's not like AEW the movie.
Well,
yeah, I mean, it's not that big. It's not big.
I'm on CM Punk's side. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you're a star.
Oh, we always knew you were a little bitch, though. You love to always choose sides.
Go to AEW. Make them free, big gates. You make them people actually watch a show. No one's watching Dynamite before Punk joined. Who knew? Like, who knew what AEW really was? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's come and changed it in a year. Look how much good he has done. In a year, Dynamite has never been stronger.
Start feeding off the list. Come on.
The rating is better. The talent on the show. I mean, it's not Punk's fault that talent doesn't get booked for 5 weeks. As long as Jericho gets his weekly segment, that's what brings money in. I think people have been harsh on AEW. Of course no one watches Rampage. So, again, why would we care about booking it as well? It's just not. It's all the fans' fault. That's what it is. That's what I blame. And Colt, because we know Colt's, whatever it is. But anyway, I've made a point there. Excellent. Let's talk about another thing now, whilst I'm on fire. And Jaxie, it's you were mentioning it earlier about someone maybe making a special date in November.
Oh, yes, yes. So we did definitely get a sort of social media presence, short clip video of the lovely Mercedes, aka Sasha Banks, um, just talking about looking forward to some form of specific date in November, and it's definitely led to some theories going on around Twitter. But I've been asking Monty, Gina, and James. What they think, what dates they think that could be. You know, could it be today's date? Could it be next week Saturday, which I think is the 26th? Could it be before then? You know, so there's definitely some possibilities here that I'm very excited to hear more about. You know.
Well, I'll go first, obviously, and as a
Go on,
lot
then.
like everybody else, wants to see her signed with AEW and have matches on Elevation on YouTube on Mondays. I think I don't want to see it booked well, you know, in catering most with Ruby, Soho, wherever she's going now, you know.
There's no way they're gonna put Mercedes in catering.
They would
that.
not.
You say Ember
They will
Moon,
work her next to
Ruby.
Renee for no reason to get on
Ruby
TV.
They would have her on.
pages.
They will have her put on. They'll put her on commentary for Chris Jericho's matches, just
Right.
just
to have her on there every week.
She'll be coming out.
They'll ask her to just walk. They'll ask her to just walk in the background of all of the promos that everyone is having backstage, just so that there's a presence there.
Can you make?
She's gonna run in
Can
during
you make
every
the
winning
save?
segment.
Yeah,
make the
save
save
in every match. That's what you've got to do. What you don't want me to? No, look, there's already like 3 women's matches on pay-per-view. No one's going to be interested if we have any more. All right, and one of them's got to be at least 4 minutes long. We can't have it going like 3 matches at 10. You know, I think she'll be wasted in WWE. What they're going to do? Put her in the main event of WrestleMania again? What do they know?
Oh my god!
I know it sounds really bad, but there's just no way on earth that I'm kind of interested in seeing, you know, Charlotte versus Sasha again. I'm just like, no, just give a fresh breath. We need a fresh.
Monty, what?
I take Io and Sasha. I take Io and Sasha in WrestleMania. It's a couple matchups we've never seen in that, but yeah, I mean, like you said, based on the women's divisions in general, I guess maybe as far as the main roster go, you would probably lean that way. But you know, AEW's work, they're trying. You know, definitely trying to build up something. They just need to be, you know, they're not the deepest, like you mentioned, and like you said, finding time on that show is already tough. So. It's weird. I don't know, man. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't have a clue what Mercedes is doing. She has the wrestling world, the world in general, because she could be talking about a special date to drop a fashion line or just modeling. Who knows at this point? Like she can take over the world. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
she
maybe there's a special date of a new trailer that's about to drop, and it's, you know, something new from there as well.
If it's
so
never know.
season 3. Yep. I'll take
right,
that.
It's genius though. It's genius marketing because all the wrestling fans are gonna run to whatever you post and try to see. So it doesn't really matter. Like she just, like I said, she's taking advantage of the fact right now she has all the leverage, in my opinion.
And you know what? So she should be. She's got so much talent, and you know, regardless as to whether or not she does eventually end up in another wrestling promotion again, as much as I would like to see sort of like her in a fresh setting, facing new opponents that we might not necessarily have seen if she stayed on WWE, I will be very grateful just to see her in a wrestling capacity again. But she also has so many other commitments now. I'll just be kind of happy to see what she's doing in with herself at the moment. I'm excited to see what's next for her.
Yeah, no, whatever happens is going to be really, really good. So, Gina, what about you? What are your thoughts on this whole situation?
I don't know. The situation's very like is it omnious? The word situation. Anyway, it's very It's just it really could be anything because there's 2 events sort of within the next 2 weeks of November. She could be alluding to either. So I want to get my hopes up and say she's going to come to AEW. But it actually just could be her return to WWE next week. Or again, it could be some trailer that she's debuting in for something. So I don't want to get my hopes up and be like, it's definitely AEW. But if it is, I'll be gleaming for the rest of the night.
It'll be interesting to see what. I mean, if they do that, then I might actually have some hope with the AEW Women's Division if they do manage to get Sasha, because Sasha Banks, like I said,
But yeah, considering they brought in that Madison Rain girl and she ain't done fuck all apart from get her ass kicked. Like, I thought she was actually supposed to be helping. The women.
She's a coach.
I don't know what they brought her in. She's supposed to be a coach. What the fuck has she done, Monty?
Trying to break Athena's neck.
I don't know.
Did anybody
Oh, goodness.
Trying to injure wrestlers. She's working for Impact.
Everyone says that she's like the coach, so she's obviously training and like backstage with all sort of new talent and things like that. But this may sound bitchy, but when I watch her wrestle, she just looks very basic. Honestly. So you would think if this is a coach, if this is a coach or a trainer, you would expect her to be of high caliber.
I think
really work.
Yeah, I think my sister is trying to say, like, when she means basic, she means like there's no real like personality or presence in the ring that keeps that attention on her. You know, I mean, look at Rampage. Look at Rampage just gone. Like, you had her versus Athena, but everyone talk about Athena kicking her ass and then Mercedes coming out. No one talking about whether or not Madison was okay or not. She just rolled herself out the ring and then like was gone.
Seriously, like watching Impact for a couple of years with Madison Rain and then hearing she gets signed and go, really? Like, they picked her? Like, I mean,
was she big in Impact?
No, she was like tag team champion with Tenille Dashwood, and luckily, like I said, Emma's doing well now with the romance angle on SmackDown, which is great.
Good.
So they were tag champions.
That was awkward.
And they all got to shit.
Such an awkward segment. Let's not go into that conversation because that was just awkwardness.
It's just horrible what's happened to both of them since they were Impact Tag Team Champions. Sometimes just stay where you are. You know what I mean? You get a bit more respect. But we'll get into that with Madison Rain, because we've got to look back at Dynamite and Rampage, and it's not been an easy ride, guys. So we're going to try and do this, I'll say as quick as possible, but we'll see what happens. We start October 18th with Title Tuesday. Of course, Dynamite on a Tuesday, and then everybody fanboy with the AEW versus NXT. They're Wednesday Night Wars, and now the Tuesday Night Wars. Oh, great. We see Death Triangle, their trios title by beating Best Friends. Ray stopped Pac using the hammer. Tony Storm defended the interim world title against Hikaru Shida. The Storm Zero secured a successful title defense. Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, Rebel hit the ring and attacked the babyface, only for Saraya to make the save. She brawled with Baker. Moments later, Riho made a return. Remember her? And fought for the Hills. Pleasant surprise having this match here. But imagine Dynamite with two women's matches. I know I'm a dreamer, but just imagine a world where that could happen, eh?
This is in an earlier time slot too, so I was shocked. I was like, "Yeah, okay."
There might be one.
Finally.
There might be one wedged before the main event, but unfortunately, not.
Right? Nope.
MJF Regal in ring promo. MJF saying he's going to be a superstar, telling his story about his tryout. To be fair, MJF, get over your fucking selves. If we all got up by emails, I wouldn't be doing this show weekly. All right, so don't tell me about this. Yeah, and if Regal quite rightly said, if a bloody email's what it took, he held on for it, then it's too bloody easy. Regal was really, really good here. Ring of Honor World Championship, Dalton Castle lost to Chris Jericho. I hate the Ocho. It reminds me of Dodgeball on a channel that was on. Of course, I love Dalton and the boys. Hager didn't. Jerry Lynn got tombstoned by Jericho. And in the main event, John Moxley...
They took his hat. He should not have touched his hat.
Yeah.
Do not touch that purple hat. It's ugly, but don't touch it.
He loves that hat.
No one cares about Jerry Lynn. You see, that's the problem. We were more worried.
Right? No one cares. Just get dropped on his head, and I didn't hear anyone telling me anything about it.
I was like, is he okay? The commentators didn't even bring it up again. I was like, dude,
just move on.
We've got numbers to replace him. It doesn't. Just throw him on a heap. Put him in a skip. We'll replace him with
just
Steve
roll him
Corino
into the
next
ring
week.
and everyone will pretend he wasn't there.
Yeah, so just move on. So we had John Moxley defending the AEW World Championship against Hangman Adam Page in a brutal match. The ending, though, was a clothesline for Moxley, left Page motionless. I'm glad they replayed it 3 or 4 times before the doctors came out to check on him.
In slow motion.
In slow motion.
Right.
Like, look at him break his neck.
Like, yeah, what the hell?
Constantly, like, is someone coming out? Like, why are we getting this repeated? Can the commentators at least let us know if someone's on their way to see if he's okay?
Well, he wasn't, and it looked really, really bad. Moxley cut a promo, wishing the best for Page, and MGF came out, vowing to cash in at Full Gear, and the champion ended the show by vowing to prove getting in the ring with him is as dangerous as it gets for anybody. True that, asked Adam Page, but Page is all right. Just taking it slow, but it seems to be okay. With the ratings as well, Dynamite did beat NXT. And then on to Rampage, October 21st. The Acclaimed retained their tag titles and got a Scissor Me back by beating Josh Woods and Tony Nese. Daivari offered fake money to Hook before passing out to Red Rum. What was it? Did anybody see this fake money? Monty, does money look like that in America? Because that was Monopoly money, surely, Daivari had. That's not what you use. It's not
Don't. It
No,
doesn't
honestly,
look.
that was definitely not.
Yeah, I don't. It was obviously a prop, right? I don't know.
Unless
I
your
don't
cash
know,
is like paper, like like A4, fold up. Just use
Like,
that.
seriously, it did look like prop money. I'm not lying.
Yeah, trust fund, fake fund. How you do it?
Well, Hook definitely
How
needs
you do it?
competition for his FTW
Please,
title.
anybody.
I know Willow Nightingale beat Leela Gray. Jade Cargill tried to hijack the show until Nyla Rose returned her TBS title, but Rose just stole her car instead. And the main event saw Orange Cassidy put the All-Atlantic title on the line. Rush and Vance in the triple threat match. Of course, Cassidy able to retain. Rampage again. Absolutely nothing. There's no positives from it at all. October 26th, Dynamite. Garcia and Jericho lost to Claudio and Yuta, with Claudio pinning the Ocho. In the night's second match, our boys FTR battle former champs Keith Lee and Swerve for a shot at the Acclaimed titles. And we thought, yes, FTR finally going to be put on top of the AEW mountain, as they rightly deserve. But no, the Gun Club. Yes, that's right. The Gun Club came out and helped Swerve and the Glory steal the win. Why did the FTR continue to be shut out of the tag title picture to the point that it diminishes the legitimacy of these titles? Again, I might be wrong, and I don't know, Monty, if we've mentioned it, but because we've met them, we might be a little bit biased. But does FTR not actually facing for the AEW tag titles devalue the championship and create questions about backstage politics?
I mean, I feel like this.
I'm biased. I want an unbiased opinion.
Okay, so unbiased. You want mine? Okay, got you. So obviously, it's like I can't really make it. Like they even mentioned in their own damn rankings, they've been number one contender for like 8 months. It feels like. So, I mean, like, so they finally lose this match. They get screwed, obviously. But it's another thing too that bothers me so much about this. When you have them not at least be either fighting for the belts or, you know, whatever the situation is, or you have them lose in this situation. Now, like, doesn't that automatically place their tag titles that they already hold? Like, we already think about most of those Ring of Honor belts as secondary belts anyway, if you even acknowledge a lot of them. Like, yeah, they're belts, but like, how much value to the AEW roster do those other promotions belts have? And it's just like when you have the best from New Japan, the best from Ring of Honor, the best from AAA, so that means they're one of the best teams in the world, and then you just cannot get them in the ring with your other best team that has your world tag titles. It just doesn't make any damn sense. And the longer it goes on, the more questions people ask. So I don't know why they just say, I don't know. I don't want to assume it's because last time I heard FTR hasn't renewed or agreed that they were going to renew, but that don't even make sense. Like, why why should that affect their booking? So I don't know.
Well, weirdly enough,
Preach, Monty, preach.
I don't want to break their word for what they told us, and I don't even know if I mentioned it or not, either on the pod or if I should. But when we did speak to them, they said their AEW contracts were up within 6 months. Again,
so it feels like that. Like that's the only reasonable reason that you have, is that it's expiring and you don't want to put it on them. But I just don't understand. It's really
but then
man.
that also kind of brings up another issue if that is the case, because you've had STR contracted to you this whole time. You didn't once put the fucking belts on them. What is wrong with you?
Well, they had the belts once, but quickly
they had an initial run, right?
Yeah, but not when they're on this type of hot run.
But not since this run they've been on most of this year. Yeah.
It's also a very missed opportunity that you don't know whether you're going to get again in the future with them. It's a missed opportunity to make them, 4-time champions, like with all the different belts that they've got. But it's fans want it, they want it, it'll be great for the show, but it feels a bit like a bitter move.
Yeah, and then again, imagine the pop as well. I'm not talking about AEW, but if you work out the months, if at WrestleMania the Usos have like either an open challenge or whatever it is, and it gets answered by FTR, imagine the pop of their return to WWE. Win or lose there.
Oh, damn, that would just go hard.
And then you can have a face FTR run. Because I wouldn't want the Revival back. Like I said, fuck the Revival. Have FTR a proper babyface run in WWE. FTR,
please. Top guys.
Definitely.
Yeah. Good.
No, it sounds great.
I'm glad I'm not biased.
Yeah. No. I think, and that's the scary part. And the Acclaimed are very popular, and they're deservedly so of their popularity. But even the fans who are talking about scissoring, they know that FTR is the best team, or at least needs to be in the ring with people who are the tag champions. Everyone knows it. Except Tony, I guess.
Yeah. Well, fuck Tony. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying now. We got MJF, gave us back.
Khan. Everyone loves Tony Schiavone, so it's not Schiavone we're on about Khan here.
Please do not send death threats, because I did not mean Tony Schiavone. I said fuck Tony Khan. That's fair enough. MJF gave babyface promo to Renee. Danielson beat Sammy Guevara. Jamie Hayter beat Rio. That's good. Rio came back then. The AEW World Championship. John Moxley beat Penta. After the match, we had the Firm come down with beatdown. The Hills then turned their attention to MJF, leaving him lying to close his shows. The Creators team continues to dangle the idea of a babyface salt of the earth. And I don't understand it, because Gina, we don't fucking want this. We want Moxley versus MJF as the heel that he is, not shit is at the moment.
I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, because I'm not. It's still a very entertaining storyline, and I'm enjoying it. But it's really hard for me to take MJF as a face. I don't know if I like it. I really don't. It's just, it doesn't feel right.
I don't think it's going to happen. Like, I've got my theory about this, which we'll dive into a bit more once we get into discussion about the pay-per-view tonight. But I don't see it going that way, sis.
No, definitely. But like, just getting the little glimpses that we have been getting on the show, him sort of being interviewed backstage and trying to be all, positive rather than his usual self, where he's just slagging off the hometown all the time. It's just hard not to see that. And I kind of want to laugh a little bit, like, oh, he's taking the piss. He's taking the piss being this nice. I just can't see it. So, yeah, it definitely shouldn't stay that way.
It shouldn't. Well, we get on to Rampage, my birthday edition. Mox wrestled again, beating Daddy Magic. 13-96, Serpentico surprisingly lost to Keith Lee in seconds. I didn't think it would
wasn't surprised.
Exactly. 13-96, you're going to put the cunt against Keith Lee, and you're going to make me think.
Is that his actual...
Listen.
Is that his actual stats? 96.
13-96.
He's having the ultimate underdog story. He is the best jobber I've ever known. He works hard at his job.
What a compliment.
And he loses with great style, okay? I'm trying to find any way to give Sir Petticoat a compliment because bless that man.
Well, at
He
least
takes control every time.
at least we're getting worthwhile matches on Rampage. You know, the Olympics one was going to be interviewed by Tony Schiavone, but the acclaim came out to interrupt. This led to a video where Swerve Rilling had Billy Gunn tied up. He began to torture Billy with a pair of pliers until Max Caster and Anthony Bowens ran off to find him. Lee was left speechless. I suppose the only good thing about this is that they were concentrating more on the hands and the scissoring rather than his own old gimmick, Mr. Ass. Because that would have been a very different video. But
Especially with the camera angling, I was like, oh God, this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made myself
What
giggle.
a sadistic term, by the way. Like, I understand being mad, Swerve, but really?
Yeah.
Mad? Okay.
This Swerve, man, Monty, you know how much I love Swerve, but it's like this Swerve that is coming out of this moment. It's just if AEW, I can hear myself pissing and moaning in like 6 to 12 months of going, why have they not done anything Swerve? Why have they not put any championship on him? Why have they not done anything? I'm hoping against it. Tay Mello beat the great Madison Rain. AEW newcomer Matt Taven had a big opportunity. What the fuck happened to Matt Taven? I'm looking at this now. What happened to them?
Yeah.
The Kingdom, like.
What you mean? He do look different. I must admit.
They're not here.
I don't know where they've gone. Like, I know they debuted because they were Impact Tag Champions, came to AEW, and they're just looking back. Going, we've lost them. We have lost them in transport or something like that.
Wasn't it just like a one-off, or did they have?
It's on contract,
right? You never know. That's what I don't like about the Ring of Honor stuff, man. You never freaking know. I don't know anything.
I remember him, yeah. We took on Wardlow. He, of course, lost. Powerhouse Hobbs walked to the ring for a distraction, so Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony could attack Samoa Low from behind. The show ended with Cage and Hobbs holding up the Ring of Honor TV and AEW TNT titles. They would change that idea soon. November 2nd. This is fucking brilliant. This is brilliant. Darby Allin lost to Jay Lethal thanks to fake Sting, right? So fake. The best part actually was Darby.
Do you a flashback, huh?
Well, Darby bouncing off Sting when he tried to dive on him. That actually really made me laugh.
Yes. Best spot of the whole thing.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Run to a bouncy castle, just doing. But of course,
the man didn't move.
We had fake Sting, real Sting returned, only for Double J. That's right, Jeff Jarrett. And anybody forgets, that is JEFFJRRETT with a guitar shot to Darby Allin. Flashbacks to WCW in 2000. And apparently, as well, he is the new director of business development. What the fuck?
Oh, no.
What the fuck is this? Monty, what the fuck is this?
Oh, my goodness. We talked about Carl Anderson earlier. You want to talk about a mercenary when it comes to wrestling. It doesn't matter. Jeff Jarrett is always available, it feels like. It doesn't matter. But I don't know. I didn't see this coming.
Always available.
He's always available. I don't understand. Even with the Ric Flair match earlier this year, it's like Jeff Jarrett is always he's always available. He's like he's free for whenever they need him. I don't even really know how to feel about it. It was shocking and all of that. So I guess for that value, it was cool to see. But he was again.
What was the real purpose for it? Like
money, printing money, that fake money.
Okay, but like from Tony's point of view,
I don't know, man.
What was he expecting to get
He
out?
a big Impact fan.
We got rid of Punk. Let's get the second best thing in. Let's get Jarrett.
Right. The global force and
Yeah.
TNA legend. Like he's never left companies worse off than when he's in it.
He looks like he's in great
guys are
shape. But
taking
it's
it
not
too far.
exactly, he looks like he's in great shape, but it's not exactly like Jeff Jarrett is going to come out being AEW champion, is it? So,
Well, the thing is,
No.
he's like, when he calls himself 11-time champion, like, I watch a lot of wrestling, but
He
even I'm
booked
going,
it.
really? Like, 4 titles at WCW when it was a sinking ship under your mate Russo, and then giving yourself
Right.
another 7. Like, I don't...
Right, you booked this last 6 at least.
You were in charge.
Yeah.
You gave yourself...
Look, that's a spoiler review right there, Monty. That's exactly what he's coming into AEW to do. At that next belt, get that number 12.
Right. 12 times. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Oh,
well,
my goodness.
we'll move
Other than
on.
the matchup with Sting, I have no clue what the future of Jeff Jarrett role on TV is.
We need Jarrett versus like Dustin Reynolds or something like that. We need
Yes.
Daddy ass taking it on.
Right. There, yeah. People
booking
like that.
Attitude Era
Yeah.
matches now with the talent
Big
we've
Show.
got. Big Show
Oh
come
yeah,
out.
Big Show, yeah. Paul, like
Mark Henry,
Paul White,
like
Mark Henry there. Fuck it, put Taz back in the ring.
imagine him trying that. That'd be brilliant. Actually, I would pay to watch Taz wrestle again.
You could do a similar situation like the Mysterio storyline, putting him with Hook.
Oh, no.
Yeah, having them beat FTR.
My dad.
Oh, no. Taz and Hook defeats FTR. Oh, no.
Nah, and then-
No.
I was about to say they call them like Team Took. Because you know what AEW are like.
Oh, no.
Team Has.
No, they're gonna be Taz Took.
Team Taz Took. The triple T's.
Oh, no.
We'll move on. John Moxley beat Lee Moriarty. Ethan Page attacked the champ afterwards. I'm guessing that's not calling anything. The Acclaim celebrated Daddy Arse's Billy Gunn's birthday. In an amusing segment, I mean, it's a little more than an excuse bringing, like I said, them to come out. FTR were teasing a championship match. The Gun Club got involved. Didn't FTR lose to Swerve and Our Glory? So why are they coming out and asking for a match a week after they've just lost? And I want a championship match, but hey, at least it made up for it.
Yeah, but didn't Swerve cheat during that match though?
Yeah. It was a low blow,
So-
and
Yeah,
you had
exactly.
the guns there. So, yeah.
It's
That's
like
probably
they
the
got
only
issues,
explanation
you
we
know?
have for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got issues, but not with Swerve. Like the match just took Tony. So we've got problems with this booking. And much was made about the former Ring of Honor champion who would step up. We were wondering if it would maybe Nigel McGuinness or someone good. But it was Colt Cabana. Excalibur referred to Colt as Marsha Cabana's baby boy. Of course, a jab at CM Punk about sharing a bank account with his mother. Colt lost, but hey, at least he's got a job. Hager got cramp, which is probably the most entertaining bit of the match. And then Jericho broke Ian's glasses. Bastard. So what do we think? I mean, Jaxie, what do you think of Colt Cabana coming back? Is this them saying to us, this is who we've picked?
Yeah, this is definitely them being like, just giving the middle finger to CM Punk a little bit. You can just see it blatantly right there and then. I mean, I wasn't overly excited at seeing Colt Cabana. Again, please don't get me wrong. I have nothing against the guy. I've just never not been a huge fan of his wrestling either. Whether or not that's just, not kind of giving him enough screen time or what, like even when he was in the Dark Order, I just kind of felt like he was like, he kind of faded into the background even when he was in the Dark Order, I'm not really sure I get his character or personality when it comes to wrestling, but he needs to have a lot more of a stronger presence because I wasn't, overwhelmed with excitement at seeing him. I just kind of looked at it like, oh, this is a CM Punk dig. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, like, it's great to see him back and back in a wrestling ring again as well. Do I think that's gonna last? No, I think that he'll fade back into the background again. So I don't really feel much when it came to his match.
Yeah.
I kind of knew he was gonna lose.
Whenever I see Colt Cabana, I'm sorry to say, but I do forget that he's Colt Cabana because I think he's QT Marshall.
Yeah, and that, do you know what? That's quite disrespectful for QT. So I would say,
Yeah,
Oh my
sorry.
goodness.
But
no,
they just
Colt.
look
Don't get me wrong.
similar.
You know, he has had a career, but the thing is like, yeah, there's just. I've got history, so maybe I'm not the right person, but there is stuff about him it's not likable.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
Go on, Monty. Like, tell us what you know about Colt Cabana.
Like, again, I'll try to be the only positive one. 'Cause
Yeah, come
I'm
on,
the
we need
only
a
one
positive
apparently who
here.
hasn't heard any of the bad stuff until now. So I'm like, wow, I didn't know that was the opinion. I will say this, as far as his in-ring work, he's similar. It's funny you say QT because they're kind of in a similar like area of their career. Of they're kind of like teachers and like he's more of his value is more of like his knowledge and what because he's done this a long time when it comes to Colt at this stage of his career. So I'm not expecting a Matt Classic from Colt, but I have seen him be able to cut it on. Like he has a comedic style. That's another reason why some people don't like it. It's not like physical or anything that most people will be used to. So a lot of what you mentioned too, Jaxie, is like you mentioned, he disappeared in the background because most of the Dark Order disappeared to the background when it comes to AEW. Like he's never really had prominent time to show any of the qualities that he's shown in the past in Ring of Honor. But I do understand what you guys
So
mean about this particular moment.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I'm with you. This wasn't the most exciting stuff.
I'm not just condoning that he's not got talent when he's in the ring, and I do still think that this is down to like poor booking as well. But from what I've seen of him, I'm not overly impressed. So it wasn't I wasn't jumping with excitement to see that he had made his return. I just more so saw it as, oh, this is Tony Khan being a prick.
Right.
Like to CM Punk, like throwing in
and the way it was done
like that.
presents it that way too, because it wasn't really much in it, build up to it or anything. It was just a stock type of thing where he comes, have a match, and then he goes away, like you mentioned. So how could you be invested when they're not giving you much to invest in other than a predictable loss to Jericho?
Also not his fault because of that.
Yeah, but he's got lots of. The thing about Carl, it's going to be a longer conversation, but.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll move on from that and we'll come back to it at another point in time.
So you can just bury Colt Cabana for a whole show.
Bury him.
And he's had enough of that. No, I'm just playing. I'm playing.
This is the thing. It's like, yeah, we know him as CM Punk's ex-friend now. That's what he's become.
It's the most notable thing he got going for him.
He allowed himself to do that. Yeah. And anyway, we'll move on. AEW All Atlantic Championship. Orange Cassidy, Luchasaurus versus Ray Phoenix. An appearance from Jack Perry led to the downfall of Luchasaurus. Left Cassidy battle Phoenix, which he retained after an orange punch. Pac attacked, freshly squeezed only for New Japan Pro Wrestling Shibata to make the save. Now, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Shibata, he's only wrestled twice since suffering a brain bleed after a 2017 New Japan match. He spent most of his time running the New Japan Pro Wrestling show in Los Angeles. I hear about him loads, obviously, because I watch Strong every week. 11 months after he faced Ren Narita, who we've mentioned already, at Wrestle Kingdom 16, which was his first standard match in 5 years. His other match was a 5-minute exhibition against Zack Sabre Jr., where he didn't take any bumps. His next one will be for the All Atlantic Championship this Friday, on November 4th.
Oh, freaking Rampage.
Mum, what the fuck is going on? Like, I know he wanted a match with Orange Cassidy, but have a little bit of respect for the man.
Right? And also, I don't think people in AEW understand the privilege that was. Like you mentioned, he hasn't even wrestled a legit contact match in Japan. since the major injury happened. Like besides the 10-minute stuff with Ren Narita. So the fact that people were able to get this treat of this unique matchup never before seen, that just shows you how much Orange Cassidy left an impression or impresses Shibata. Because again, for him to want to do this and not care that it's a match that, like you said, just a regular TV match, and not giving maybe the respect that he would deserve, and all that. But again, certain American audiences may not know all of that, but that's AEW's job, in my opinion, to let them know that. But it is what it is. You kind of just roll with the punches when it comes to this New Japan and AEW relationship. And I just think, that felt more like a favor to Shibata because he really wanted to wrestle Orange Cassidy. That's what it felt like to me. But it was still awesome to see, though. I must admit, to have him in American soil, and like I said, just to have him doing that in general was a privilege. Because again, like you mentioned, his career was over. It's much like we'll be talking about with Saraya later. Career was over when it comes to, at least it was definitely unclear at the most. Like that's why he became the LA Dojo coach. So yeah, it was awesome to see. But yeah, definitely weird the placement of it when you think about, like I said, the fact that he hasn't even had a match in New Japan that wasn't, like you said, at Wrestle Kingdom or for a special cause. So we'll see.
It's such an AEW move.
Yeah.
Jay Cargill went to 41-0 versus Marina Shafir. Nyla Rose did commentary with Vicky on the mic. That worked really well. In the main event, Samoa Joe beat Brian Cage. Wardlow saved Joe from a beatdown but got spine busted by Hobbs. Rampage on the 4th of November. JR welcomes us to Dynamite. Good old JR. Mike Tyson joins commentary. Mike knew who Shibata was. It took 2 orange punches, but Cassidy ultimately kept him down for the free count to retain his title. Shibata showed respect with a handshake, so Cassidy gave him another pair of sunglasses. But like we say, so weird this was on Rampage. Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter beat Madison Rain and Sky Blue. We got a promo from Ricky Starks. He declared himself the AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament. Gina, 5 weeks without Ricky Starks. Were you wondering what happened to him as well? Because then he pops up and goes, no, I'm here.
I just kept telling myself, positive thoughts in the back of my mind. They're building him up for something. I was like, they've got to bring him back. So I was so pleased to see him come back for sure.
Yeah, well, in the main event, Samoa Low beat Gates of Agony, and Khan's abs still hurt me. That man is just made of stone. November 9th, Dynamite, our boys FTR and the Acclaim beat the Guns and Swerve and the Glory to start the show hot. Billy Gunn jumped Strickland Helen match, looking for revenge. Full Gear World Title Eliminator, Eddie Kingston. Remember Eddie Kingston, everybody? He lost to Ethan Page. Eddie has only had 20 matches in AEW and more than half on YouTube. I mean, again, I'm not going to piss and moan about AEW, but that's just not good enough, is it, Jaxie?
Definitely not. No. Well, what's the reasoning?
Well, I think Tony hates professional wrestling.
I'm starting to believe this myself.
I really do. I don't understand what the fuck. Unless he's changed his dealer. He's changed his dealer in the past 6 months, and it really fucked up stuff at this moment in time.
Now he can handle shit.
Tony just has too many, and he's like, "Oh shit, I forgot. I've got Eddie. Like, where's he been? I better do something quick. Just chuck him on a show randomly."
Literally, that's what it feels like sometimes. We got TNT champion Wardlow with Samoa Joe answering an open challenge by Divine. Of course, it was a devastating powerbomb Symphony that finished it. He called out Powerhouse Hobbs and vowed to win all the titles in the company. This provoked a shot to the back of the head by Ring of Honor TV title by Joe. Oh no! Who put Wardlow out with a cleaner clutch while Hobbs watched and thought, what the fuck is going on? Can people stop turning on each other? All right? Can we just get along for at least one Dynamite?
I mean, I really don't understand. Did Tony just wake up and go, do you know what was a great idea? Let's have Joe be a bad guy. And they're all like, oh, but Joe's like a face at the moment, like, working the Wardlow. Yeah, Wardlow needs an opponent. That's fine. Oh, but we've got Will Hobbs. Yeah, don't worry about it. The audience won't care, so it's fine. And they've just done it. It just literally feels so fucking random. I really don't get it.
Like, part of me was thinking, like, if Wardlow hadn't said that line, something like, he was the strongest
like he said,
there.
Like, there's no one to challenge him or something.
Yeah, if he hadn't said that, then would Joe still have been on his side, or was it that split? Was it that line that made him go, what? Turn around and look at me. Hello? I can probably beat you.
Yeah, but if it's one line...
So was it, if Wardlow kept his mouth shut, would we have not got that? But,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well,
People judge me on...
Like, Joe gets offended easily, clearly. It's clear.
Well, unless... I'm about to say, unless Wardlow's a massive cunt. Because if you look at MJF, if you look at Samoa Joe, people just can't fucking stand him. Do you know what I mean? The Pinnacle... No, Wardlow.
Do I think that we're gonna probably get quite an epic like triple threat match between all three? Yes, but do I understand the reasoning behind Joe turning? No, I don't. And Joe, I'm normally behind you, but bruv, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, I got to say, Samoa
So the
Low...
week before this, Will Hobbs rushed the ring, right? And he pushed Joe back, and Joe side-eyed him just a little bit there. And I was thinking right then, that can't be reason enough. All he did was tell you to back so he can take off. What the hell are you mad at? So
I mean, Joe,
either way.
You didn't just get bitch slapped in the face twice by LA Knight, did you? So what could you possibly be so wound up about?
It's like, you're 30 seconds late. That's it. We're done. We're done forever.
Right. Sick of this dude.
He definitely had an argument with the wife and was like, I can't take it out on her when I get home. Shit. Take it out on
One more person says something horrible to me, and I'm going to snap. And then Waldo says that, Joe's like, I fucking told you.
Right, I've had enough.
Yeah, that's me done. But unfortunately, like we say, Samoa Low, no mo. So it was.
I'm kind of glad. I didn't like the whole, like, War Joe thing. Like, they didn't need to be partners. Yeah. They have singles titles,
By the way, Joe's belt looking way less important. Now. Since he won this one, it's hard to make your TV title look important now that you want a TNT title. But hey, let's move on.
Yeah, and then it's really confusing because you've got two champions here, but like, how are you going to have them both going off against each other? Because either way, you're going to make their titles look really like downtrodden, and it's not exactly like either of these titles have had the best of screen time or run right now. So, I mean, I personally wouldn't have put these two in any form of feud or match. I would have had them put in separate matches and feuds where it actually feels like, we could try and elevate these titles a bit more.
Remember, Tony forgets how many other wrestlers he had backstage to use. That he'll remember in 2 weeks' time. Like, oh shit, I could have done this.
The annoying thing about it is like, and again, spoiler alert maybe for anybody, but it's like we're gonna get Swerve turning on Lee, we're gonna get Hayter and Baker turning on each other. We're gonna have so many more turns.
I mean, don't forget that Athena as kind of like turn or heel as well. So we're just a lot of different turns right now. Like, Tony, calm it. Let them build up some form of relationship first, so that we can actually be devastated when a turn happens. But when you do it every other week, it kind of gets to a point where we're starting to read who's going to turn on who as soon as we see a brand new united team come together.
They're even teaming Guevara and Jericho now.
Exactly.
They can't help it.
He's going to go up to Dax.
No, seriously, they can't do that. They've already done the tease with the other little punk. The other little kid.
Yeah, but then you're gonna have like Wheeler Yuta turn on the Blackpool Combat Club, and then you're gonna get then you've already had Daniel Garcia turn his back once on the JAS. You're
And
going to
he's
have someone else
disappeared.
like
He's gone.
and Tony is now also like acting like he ain't interested in tag teaming with John Silver. So there's like a potential turn there. Tony, stop it now.
Exactly.
Stop.
Hookhausen. Whatever happened to Hookhausen? They didn't even get together to
don't
break
know.
up. Like, they just went their separate ways. You're expecting Dax, Tony asking Dax to turn on Cash. That's what he's getting. I've got a great idea. That's what people want to see. They want to break up.
Nah, they wouldn't. They wouldn't do that.
Well, we'll see what happens there. But Tony Schiavone oversaw a face-to-face between Britt Baker and Sarai. After the latter announced her long-awaited return to the ring, an emotional Sarai announced she was cleared by the doctors, while Baker took exception to her walking into AEW and taking advantage of it. Sarai called Baker's star power into question, claiming a match with Sarai would be the biggest of her career. I want to see this match, but the promos, man, I wish they'd been in the same room sometimes, it feels like. Because one week, Britt with a fantastic one, and then Sarai's off. This one, Sarai was going to be good, and Britt was somewhere fucking else. I'm not sure what's going on, but it is great news. 5 years we've waited for Paige/Sarai to be cleared, and we're finally going to see her in action. It's going to be great, and I just hope she's as good as she once was. And like I said, an absolute kind of game changer when it comes to women's wrestling. Gina, this can only be a good thing to see Sarai versus Baker, plus another women's match on a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy about another card being on the pay-per-view for like a women's match, because we do have a lot of talent back there, and I don't really like it when they're like, okay, so we have a big pay-per-view, we have all these women backstage, let's give them one match and do a 10-woman tag and just bung a bunch of random women together to give them an 8-minute match. So it's nice to see like 3 separate matches, and to be honest, I'm not mad at this. I think with Saraya's sort of return to wrestling and introduction to AEW, I do think Britt is a good kind of first storyline angle to go into with, because, I mean, let's face it, it's not that we wouldn't be interested. We would be interested if Britt came in, Saraya came in and her first feud was with the great Madison Rae. If I was seeing that on Full Gear, I'd be questioning it. So I do think that like it's great having Britt as her first opponent. It does give you that kind of worry though. Are they going to think Britt here, or is Saraya going to get the win right away? It's exciting to get this opportunity to even think about it, because obviously none of us thought she would come back to wrestling.
Yeah, I'd say it's great to finally get a battle. Like I said, we'll talk about the match a little bit more in a bit. We get Jay Lethal beating Trent Beretta. Jeff Jarrett, of course, appeared and cut a promo putting over Lethal, Dutton Singh. They couldn't help throw a jab at Braun Strowman, Triple H, and WWE, just in case.
So random.
Just in case you didn't remember what the kind of bigger and frankly better wrestling show has been of late. Like I said, proper WCW in 2000 with that promo. But luckily, Moxley had a better one, asking who exactly is MJF, saying, I've seen the devil, I've met the devil, I've looked in his eyes, dude, you are not that. Everything you've done to this point has been easy, Moxley said. And again, really, really good stuff from Mox. Jamie Heater beat Sky Blue. Of course, the save after by Tony was never in doubt. I wonder if you could bet that. Do you think we could make money?
Right? They need to do DraftKings. Do they have a DraftKings questions for run-ins or whatever? Like, I know they're promoting DraftKings.
Oh my gosh, or interference. That would be so great.
Yeah.
Win so much money.
We'd be millionaires.
I was doing a drinking game, and I'm alcohol poison. I already told you, Dan. It'd be over with. At this point, if I just drunk every time someone ran in, it'll be just take a swig.
Yep.
Whew.
Yep.
Good times.
I'll be like, like sleeping on the couch, falling asleep on the couch, because I just end up getting way too drunk if I did that.
You find yourself in an AA meeting and you'd be like, what's your issue? I've been watching too much Dynamite.
Seriously, my boyfriend will actually start forcing me to go to an AA meeting if that was the case.
Too much AEW in the system. The main event, best 2 out of 3 falls match, Bryan Danielson versus Sammy Guevara. Guevara attempted to outthink Danielson by getting intentionally disqualified. Even the match 1 fall apiece moments later by targeting the head. The American Dragon submitted Guevara for the hard-fought victory. 2 falls to 1. Good match. But I don't know if any of you guys noticed, Taz has been having a blast on commentary all night this time round. But even the pitch-in-pitch stuff, like him and Tony, talk about sexual chemistry. I think there's something going on with Taz and Tony as well.
Yeah, I agree. The way they bicker.
You could also argue the fact that like Taz and Excalibur has some form of like, pent up hostility. I don't know what you would call it, not hostility, but yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, they're definitely saying it, but they seems to be enjoying themselves at this moment in time. So that is a positive, I will say. But on to Rampage. November 11th, and Jungle Boy challenged Luchasaurus to a steel cage match at Full Gear, which he accepted. World Championship tournament matches. Brian Cage beat Dante Martin. Bandido beat Roosh. The self-proclaimed TBS champion held an open challenge. Nyla Rose was playing up to a comedic side a lot more. She posed like Jade and even stole the finisher to pick up the win against Kayla Sparks. And again, this is quite good, Jaxie, because we're actually seeing a little bit more from Nyla Rose. Even if it is like stealing of a title, we used to beat, but we are seeing a bit more comedy.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to admit, I've been finding Nyla Rose very entertaining with this whole, I know I'm not the champion, but I'm going to go around acting like I am the champion sort of routine. Do I think it's gone on a bit too long? Yeah, I think that, like, by now, sorry, Jade called it out right in her latest promo. Tony, what are you doing? I am the champion, and you have done fuck all in getting my belt back. Like, if that was, any guy with the AEW championship for that long, do you really think Tony wouldn't have gotten involved already and been like, look, give him the belt back? So I do think it's gone on a bit too long, to the point where we can actually start questioning Tony's authority and lack thereof that he has within his company to control his employees in not committing theft. But we'll see how it goes. I do think that once both Jade and Nyla get in the ring, is gonna be an awesome match. But for Nyla, this has been good content for her. I do think she is funny, but I just think it's gone on long enough now.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And this week's Rampage main event saw Orange Cassidy defend the AEW All Out Championship against the Factory's Lee Johnson. Moving on to the last Dynamite, November 16th, Claudio Castagnoli and Brandon Danielson. Weird, I got Brian's name wrong. Versus Jericho, Sammy Guevara. Castagnoli applied a sharpshooter and forced submission to extend his recent streak over the champ at 2-0. Anthony Bowens lost to Swerve, who looked like a complete superstar in this matchup. Honestly, especially when Hit Row are going by themselves, and you're thinking, imagine putting a Swerve with that at this moment in time. He'd be in title contention within 6 months. He might in AEW, but like I said, Swerve, man, it's just God. I
think you should give it time. At this pace, I feel like if they do, they make right decisions. Right. If they make the right decision, he still has a chance to be a champion here in AEW. Yeah. And but I think he is, like you said, when you just get him in that ring and you just watch him, like you said, the confidence and everything, like you mentioned when we first saw him, just has star written all over him. And even though I'm not necessarily a biggest fan of this angle, he has been killing his role in it so far.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I have to agree. I mean, he's got was it mainly in NXT? He was kind of really known as Swerve Scott. But he's just got that absolute sort of swagger style about him, from his clothing to the way that he carries himself, even coming out in the ring. He's got an excellent entrance music. He's just got that overall star power that kind of commands your attention in the wrestling ring and when he's doing a promo. So even though, I'm not sure on this angle that they're going at with him at the moment, I'm still finding it entertaining because I just love everything about Scott.
Yeah, really, really good stuff from him at this moment in time. Samoa Joe joined Tony Schiavone to try and explain to all of us why he would betray the War Dog. He said striking first rather than being the victim. If that's the case, you'd just be beating up everybody. Wouldn't you just be walking around, just slapping, well, I don't want to be the victim first. But this brought out Powerhouse Hobbs, and then Wardlow speared Joe and instigated a three-way brawl. The locker room emptied, and then the TNT champ launched himself over the top, wiping out Joe, Hobbs, and the rest of the AEW competitors before standing tall. To be fair, Wardlow did look quite cool, but it's amazing to think how much momentum he has lost since beating MJF, what was it, a couple of pay-per-views ago.
I mean, is this down to bad booking? Like, what would you say? Because I feel like he really has had a dip, and I'm not entirely sure that it's completely Wardlow's fault. I just don't understand how we managed to kind of mess this up a little bit.
Yeah, it just... I really don't understand kind of, how they drop the ball so much. Like, I know teaming up with Joe.
Monty, what do you think? Like, do you understand? Do you also agree, Monty, about the dip with Wardlow? And do you have any idea as to kind of really what kind of caused this? Whether or not it's down to booking, whether or not it's the people he's kind of had the bookings with? I'm not sure.
Yeah, so it's a mix. But I think it's definitely down to the booking. They booked him. They made him look so dominant in the MJF feud that I think since he looked like that dominant to where he was unbeatable for a while, it was hard for them to give him, or at least in their mind, they haven't found the right contenders, like you mentioned, to actually look like a threat and actually make a storyline out of, like you mentioned, until now. And like we said, they're scraping this story together right here. So until now, he hasn't really had any storylines about any of his TNT matches, other than the fact that I guess he's been feuding with people that we all figured that he would beat, if the rules were all square for the most part. So it's just like the way he's been handled, and then we always mention this. It's also that shuffling of how consistent he's on TV. A lot of the people that you have a lot of prominence or what's going on with them, they're on TV almost every week. It doesn't matter what's going on, whether it's Jay, whether it's Jericho, the Britt Bakers of the world. When they have their time, that they're going to be on TV pretty much every week, whether it's a backstage segment or a video package. And I think Wardlow, like you mentioned, disappeared. He'll have a throwaway match on a Rampage, or a match that we know he'll win, where he just do his powerbomb symphony and go away or whatever. So it's like the Daivari situation. Like who in their mind believed that Daivari had a shot? No one did. No one believed. Most people on this roster at this point have a shot against him. So I think that put them in a corner where they can only book him against people who seems like legitimate threats. And I don't know. I just think they haven't done a good job of doing that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. Where you see Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, cut a promo of her career out of a showdown with Sarai, saying she held the company up during the pandemic. Sarai's not going to come walking in and taking her spot. We get an AEW World Trios Championship match. Death Triangle beat Top Flight and AR Fox. This was Darius' first match in 7 months. Then we find out afterwards the Elite will face Death Triangle at Full Gear. And again, I appreciate the effort, but this whole kind of mystery with the Elite, it's kind of not Bray Wyatt level, But again, at least they're trying something, bless their hearts.
I mean, I feel like an overall disappointment in terms of just how everything at that moment was kind of laid out. So hear me out. First of all, Top Flight returning, before his brother had gone off injured in the first place, Dante and I've forgotten the brother's name.
Darius.
Thank you.
I'm going to call him Darius.
Yeah.
Darius. Annoy everybody.
Darius.
I'm sorry, that was hilarious. Okay, so they actually were picking up some traction, especially when it was during the sort of lockdown era. They had some really great matches, and so I was kind of disappointed that we just randomly got told there and then that night that Top Flight are returning and they're having a match. Secondly, I've forgotten their partner's name, but I would have put them with someone a bit more
Fox.
where was
Fox
Matt Sydal? you know, like who had been working with Dante and even Top Flight for
Where
a
is
bit, you know.
Where is he?
That's a good point.
Tony's
Put
forgotten
APB
him.
out.
He's on the
APB.
forgotten list.
Tony's, but like again, so my disappointment was overall that like we kind of just wasted like a really decent, what could have been a very decent 6-man tag. No offense to the other guy whose name I've already forgotten, even though you just told me, but it just would have like had a bit more story to tell that Top Flight are back and Top Flight are
I think
coming.
his name was Alicia
with
Fox.
Alicia
Oh
Fox.
my No M.Dog reference. Let's go.
And then, like, it just kind of felt very lazy. Like, you know, we all had our inkling that the Elite were coming back. Like, you Tony, approved those promos of you know, them in the past few weeks. And yet you just decided to go, oh, do you know what? Yeah, fuck it. Let's just have them, like, show up on the graphic and just confirm it that way. That's just
He
lazy.
literally was like, I found this new function on the PowerPoint presentation, and I swear to God, I gotta use it. I'm using it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just felt very incredibly disappointing because even though we all kind of knew that something like this would have come, if the booking had been better for Death Triangle, then this would have been like, you know, even better of a surprise for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just felt it was just lazy overall, lazy sort of like editing and stuff.
Yeah, but
I couldn't
isn't
even
that
get a video package promo either, by the way.
Yeah, right.
At least some type of promo via satellite, anything.
That really would have worked. Like, I still actually liked the whole sort of Thanos click and disappear and take the Elite all out sort of like little promo that happened a few weeks ago. So you couldn't even be bothered to do something like that. You just like had Pac say a couple words and then all of a sudden like we just saw it come up on the teleprompter or whatever. It was just lazy.
That would explain a lot of wrestlers in AEW if Tony is just clicking his fingers and they do disappear. I mean, not for 5 years, but like, you know, it's been quite a few months for a certain other talent, so I suppose he might have that.
That's what he did to Matt Sydal.
It's like, yeah, but half of the Ruby Soho, you know, just all these people, Mercedes Martinez, just everybody.
She came back. We saw her. He unclicked his fingers on Mercedes.
Yeah. We see Full Gear World Title Eliminate Tournament match. Bandido losing to Ethan Page. They're trying their best with Ethan Page here. Tony Storm overcame the challenge around a JAS and scored a submission win with a Texas Cloverleaf. Jamie to the ring after the match, come face to face with the victor, talking trash. Bit weird the champion needs a warm-up match rather than a challenger, but hey, it doesn't really matter. And in the main event, fired up, John Moxley hit the ring with William Regal, and of course, challenged his opponent, showing something special in Saturday before Stokely Hathaway and the Firm hit the ring. The Hills attacked to MJF made the save. Another tense verbal showdown between champion and challenger concluded with a show and Moxley standing tall as the broadcast faded to black. There was Moxley did do a mic drop on MJF and then went to walk out the ring and then obviously remembered he had to do a face.
I gotta come back.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Definitely noticed that.
Yeah, I did question. Did he forget that he's still got, you know, maybe half a promo left to do or something? I don't know.
Oh, shit. And again, Mox was a little bit over his words at some point in time here, which again, I'm not saying, you know, anything. It was great to have Mox healthy, but again, talk about the pressure and the stuff on his shoulders trying to sell this match. A lot of Punk references, especially by MJF saying the greatest trick the devil had pulled, making him well think he didn't exist. Of course, when he said that, people were saying we're going to get CM Punk back. Imagine that, Punk returning.
I really doubt that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm starting to just feel like maybe Mox is a little bit tired and just needs a break. Like, the man still hasn't gone on holiday. Let the bro go on holiday, man. He just needs some time off, you know. He also said about Sunday instead of
Yeah.
Flat out asked him to help. He screwed up one time and let it go, and then he had to flat out ask me, is it Sunday or Saturday?
It's someone just phoning it in. Just like, when do I drop the title to you? Is it tomorrow? Is it Sunday? I don't.
Right.
No, boxing, not meant to say. And then finally, Rampage, November 18th, or what do they call it? Full Gear Friday or something like that. Full Gear Friday Rampage. Well, that's going to make me want to watch it. The show opened with a scene of mayhem. Mayhem, I tell you. As Starks and Archer began fighting in the backstage. They luckily fought towards the ring. They're going into the crowd and then back into the ring where they're meant to actually fucking wrestle. Ricky got the win with the spear. But you can see why Lance enjoys Japan more. Gina, your man Ricky here. First match since his injury. Coming back. What do you think of his chances in the tournament? And he beat a big man in Lance. We saw how good Lance was in the G1.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, to be honest, it was, especially with the way that Rampage started out with them just backstage, they weren't even in the match. Ricky wasn't even in his, like, ring gear, and they were already fighting. It kind of seemed like, I think Ricky's going to lose this one, just because of the size difference and the hits he was taking backstage. And when they did eventually get into the ring and the bell started, like, they just moved the match back outside again. So they were just causing carnage. I do think the way that Ricky won was clever, because, again, the size difference here would have made you assume that Lance would have gotten this win. So I think it was clever that he hit the spear, which he does sometimes use as his, like, finisher, and then turn it into a roll-up. So I think that, like, kind of, it made a little bit more sense on, okay, that's how Ricky would get the win. I'm not saying that he couldn't outright beat Lance, but with the way the match started and the battering he took at the beginning of the show before they were even in the match, it is surprising that how is Ricky going to win this? So I do think it was clever how they did this match and how they got to that conclusion.
Yeah, well, it's a bit unfair, especially with Ricky injured. They go, yeah, pick him up for the Rochambeau as a finish, which it's like, can we just do the spear?
I could not see that being executed well.
Yeah, it's not. So it's going to end in tears, as my mum used to say. So we get the FTW match, Stokely Hathaway tripping Hook to cause a distraction for Moriarty to have control. But Hook still managed to pick up the win with Red Rum to extend his winning streak. Just do something with Hook, all right? I know you don't want him with Danhausen, but give him, like, check the Moriarty's not bad, but he needs to start doing something.
I mean, no, the match was actually good.
Yeah.
I have to give.
Yeah, we were actually commenting on this today, weren't we?
Yeah, just saying that, for once, like, Hook looked like he was having to put a lot of effort into the match. Analyzing his own opponent and trying to counter. So I think that it was a great match. But again, this match did leave me with the same feeling, James, of, like, come on, do something more with Hook now.
Yeah.
You've had a while for this. You've given him some prominent status, even having him in a tag team match with Action Bronson. Do more now, like don't.
Especially because this match went hard as well, but it was just such a random match put together again. Like, okay, Hook's back, and okay, he's fighting. If they had built a storyline here.
But what we were discussing about Wardlow earlier, and like how popular he was, and then there was that instant dip, and it, a lot of us are talking about it being down to bad booking. Don't let that happen with someone like Hook. He is still quite young. There is a lot that you'll be able to do with him, but right now he is on a real hype. So don't lose that, So do something, please. Do something with him.
And also you've got, potential for, T-shirts and other things. He could lose his temper. He could be off the hook. Do you know what I mean? He could be hooked on a feeling. There's loads of stuff you could use with a Hook name.
Stop.
There's stuff that can be done, so I don't understand. We get Athena attacking Rain, and she was posing in the corner to get the action going in their match. She continued to show more of a new heel persona. She began to make her opponent suffer, and us. Athena got the win and attacked Aubrey Edwards afterwards. Mercedes Martinez returned to chase her away, but Jaxie, you were well pissed off about this.
I was. Right. If I don't get a future match of Athena versus Ref Aubrey, like, I want Ref Aubrey to come for her, Ref. This is the first time anyone's actually like really physically attacked Aubrey. Like, let's not include like, you know, Aubrey and Jericho's love-hate relationship, because they act like a pair of siblings. But like, yeah, with Athena like really forcefully pushing Ref Aubrey, I lost my shit. I was like, oh, how dare you, girl. I did get a little bit excited at hearing Mercedes Martinez come back, but I also was like, where the hell have you been? You know? So
it's when Excalibur
again,
says they're injured and you go, bollocks, they're not been fucking injured.
Yeah, you're like, Tony's only just remembered that he actually signed her, you know, that sort of thing. I was excited to see that. I feel like Athena has had a certain amount of aggression, and it actually worked quite well in this match to actually start really kind of seeing her come across as a heel, especially with that Ref Aubrey move. Bitch move there. That was a bitch move. But yeah, well, I'm still kind of a little bit skeptical. We'll see how things go. Like, if we're actually going to get a decent sort of like amount of screen time with Mercedes Martinez, like sort of coming back into it, fine, like do that. I'm happy with that. But let's not forget about her like 2 weeks later and, you know, just click our fingers again.
Yeah, without doubt. And then we got in the main event, Eddie Kingston got to face his dream opponent, where him and Ortiz battled. Monty, you're going to have to help me out here, because it was Akiyama, the right way to say his name.
Jun Akiyama.
Jun Akiyama, fine. Yeah. And
Takeshita.
Yeah.
There you go.
There
you go.
Yeah.
Slow it down. You did good. That was decent. It was
that was good. That was not bad. That was not bad. You're getting better. You're getting better.
Kazuchika. Okada.
You gonna say it like that every time.
Wrong one, James. Wrong one.
My bad. It's on me. That's on me.
DDT, not New Japan.
Yeah, well, this was a hard-hitting affair that ended when Team DDT scored a win with Akiyama pinning Ortiz. But the crazy thing, again, you know, getting used to New Japan, of course, we've got other wrestling companies. We had All Japan. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. I'm showing my age. Of course, Noah, people like that. DDT, which I know because Kenny Omega. No, I'm lying here. No. Kenny Omega. If you want to look up some, you know, we talked about the bunny earlier. Google Kenny Omega. Some of the pictures he took in DDT. Oh my God. And I remember Kota Ibushi wrestling a blow-up doll, which is one of the greatest fucking matches of all time.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
And Ibushi pulled it off, too.
Oh, my God. You know, you talk about you can wrestle for, like, honestly, the Canadian Destroyers that match. But anyway, talking about Akiyama.
That match again now.
Oh, you need to go check out. The last protege of Giant Baba, which for me, as I want to call myself like a historian, but Giant Baba, when you hear like a connection to him, it's just wow, man. How much do you know about Akiyama? Monty, obviously you know so much because you're the Japanese expert.
Well, see, and that's why I'm gonna. You're probably gonna revoke my status here if that's what you because I'm not. I don't know a whole lot about him other than the fact that I know he's had classic matches for a long time that I've seen clips of myself, but I cannot say that I ever watched it or any of that type of stuff like Eddie Kingston had, you know. But I just know he's been. But you mentioned All Japan. That's basically where a lot of that tenure of where he, he was the president there. He was the co-head booker. So I guess they kind of give you a perspective on how how important Akiyama was to that company, you know. But yeah, he's currently in DDT. He's been doing this a while now in DDT. He's a legend. It's one of those names. Like I think Excalibur and the guys actually did a really good job of explaining where you would kind of fit him in on the timeline when it comes to Japanese pro wrestling. But he's definitely one of the greats. So it's another one of those times where it's an honor, and I'm pretty sure most of the people watching had no clue about just how much of an honor I guess it was. But yeah, man, it's just like, for example, to watch him do his exploder suplex, which is something he kind of made famous, and just people in America looking at it like it's a regular.
He's using Sammy's move. He's using
exactly. When he made the damn move.
Hey, you know what? even though I definitely can't even say that I know much about this wrestler either, I think the one thing that Eddie Kingston does so well is he provides the hype for his opponent.
yeah.
He gets you so excited. Like, I actually felt to myself, damn, this guy must be so freaking important with the way that Eddie Kingston is talking about him, you know? That's one thing I love about Eddie Kingston. Not only can you really genuinely truly tell that he loves this business, he loves wrestling, but you can genuinely tell his utmost respect for half of the opponents that he faces in just the promos that he gives. And, you know, they should all be promos about him just kicking their ass, but he does it in a way where he's telling you he loves these wrestlers and yet he still can't wait to kick their ass. And you just get excited just from even that.
Yeah, and like you said, they've not used Eddie Kingston right in the past. Well, you know, this year you could argue. You know, I think even the last AEW pay-per-view who was on the kickoff or the countdown show, whatever you want to fucking call it, buy-in, and like you said, trying to make his matches more important, where they should be putting in positions where, you know what I mean? Like, they should be showing how good it is rather than him having to rely on his talent for making us care. Because we are all emotionally invested in Eddie Edwards. Yeah, in Eddie Edwards, like Eddie Kingston.
Him too.
That's how emotional I am. I'll use the wrong fucking wrestler.
Yeah.
You know, but you know what I mean? But Eddie Kingston.
I must admit, you know, it's still quite disappointing to only see Ortiz and Eddie Kingston. I know that, you know, things still haven't been reconciled between Santana and Ortiz as of yet, and I really don't understand what's going on in the situation there. But if there is anything I can say about them, it's that they were the first AEW tag team that I really loved, and I really saw something special in. And I'm just very disappointed to hear that things still haven't been reconciled, whether they'll be reconciled between them. It's sad to hear, not just to hear that their friendship is possibly, you know, not like over, but potentially, you know, we wouldn't ever get a chance to see them as a tag team champions at least once. So I just wanted to kind of put it out there that I'm still thinking of Santana. I'm not sure whether or not he is planning to come back to AEW, but if he does it and things get reconciled, it will be so exciting to potentially see Santana, Ortiz, and Eddie Kingston go for the trios belts. That would have been definitely like a hype moment that I would have loved to have seen happen.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. But that is it for, like I said, Dynamite and Rampage. It's not been the best, we'll say, the build-up, but we have got all our hopes on this pay-per-view here tonight, Full Gear. We're hoping it can deliver. So all that's left to do is run through the card and give our predictions. And boy, this is an important one tonight, because we talk about prediction leagues. Of course, next month, we will be doing the year-end predictions along with the winners of the prediction leagues. And at the moment, well, when it comes to bonus league, Jaxie's on 6, Gina on 7, Monty on 8, I'm on 12 there. Pay-per-view league, Gina and I are on 5 points apiece. Monty and Jaxie on 7. With next week, this time next week, guys, it will be a straight-up fight between Monty and Jaxie.
Damn. It's war game.
In more ways than one.
Yeah.
I know. The irony.
And tonight, AEW Prediction League. Well, at the moment, Monty and Gina are on 1. Jaxie's on 2, 3. So with these predictions, Jaxie, you have a chance to tie and dash my chances of a win in the AEW Prediction League. I cannot believe, actually, that I've got...
For sure.
I cannot believe I'm on 3 points for AEW. Like, it's incredible when you think there's been 4 shows and I've got 3 of them. And to be fair, not to piss you guys off, but it's the show I pay least attention to. So how I'm doing it, I just don't know.
That's right. Keep
Yeah,
rubbing
man,
it in,
this shit,
James.
I can't
Keep
understand
rubbing it
Tony
in.
for
Smell
nothing.
the arrogance flying.
No, he deserves it, because I don't understand what the hell Tony be doing. So you're right, man.
No,
The
so
fact
true.
that you
Tony
consistently
been
win.
taking some.
I
Yeah,
just
Tony been
think,
taking some. Really
what would I
good
do
friends.
if I was a fucking idiot and then I just give my prediction?
And that is exactly why you're at the top right now.
Yeah, that's a shame. But like I said, Jaxie, so no pressure. I'm not going to put any pressure on you, Jaxie, because I'm not like that. But you need this win here tonight.
Come on now.
Much like
Right,
you need the
right.
win next week. But no pressure.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, James. I know. You even reminded me on the previous podcast how much pressure I'm under. So you don't need to say the word pressure one more time.
Well, I didn't mean to.
I got this. Watch me come out on top of both, okay? And then I'll be the overall winner for the year. And then you can listen to me talk about my ego and how well I've pulled it off, okay?
Yes. Well, do you know what? I'm a little bit worried now. But not too much, because, like I said, anything can happen with these predictions. There is 11 matches announced, thanks, Tony. 3 on the
Right.
three on the buy-in, so hopefully it won't be too bad. But we'll get started, and we'll of course do it in the old-fashioned way. We've all got our predictions. Well, Jaxie and Gina, you've both sent your predictions to me, so I know you can't change now. And Monty, you're a man of your word, aren't you?
Just trust me. I can't win anyway. Who cares?
Yeah. Do you know what? No offense, Monty and Gina. It doesn't fucking matter.
Who cares? Right.
Shit. I just care about Jack.
We're just participating.
At this point. Monty's letting Jesus take at this point.
Right.
Don't matter. Don't fucking matter. So we start off buying the best friends versus the factory. And I'll start off because we'll go in order like that. I'm going to go for quite easily the best friends because the factory I don't think ever win. Jaxie, what about you?
Yeah, I went with the best friends because, the factory never win.
Monty, what about you?
Yeah, this is a no-brainer, man. Yeah, best friends. And also, it does beg the question, why Orange Cassidy was here and you couldn't make another, Atlantic title match for no reason, I guess. They could have threw something together, but whatever. Doesn't matter.
Apparently, he's facing a great Rampage. So.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that would have probably been a better reason to have had a pre-show
Shibata
match.
or something. Anybody.
Yeah,
weird.
Exactly.
Gina, what about you? You going best friends as well, or?
I got the besties winning this.
Best friends. Up next, Eddie Kingston versus Akiyama. I'm not going to forget his name. You see, I'm good at this. So Jaxie, we'll start with you. Who do you think is going to win this one?
I've gone with Eddie Kingston on this one. Eddie needs to get a win. Eddie's always on the pre-show. He cut an excellent sort of promo sort of after Rampage ended, and that's what got this match sort of commissioned on to go on to the pre-show. So I am looking forward to it, but I'm going with Eddie on this one.
Monty, what about you?
Yeah, same here. I'm pretty sure they're doing the deal where you saw Akiyama look strong and get a victory on television. So it just seems right that probably the next night Akiyama will take the loss for someone who looks up to him. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, it's just hard for me to go with Akiyama here. Kind of like similar to when I did against Ishii in a similar situation like this, where it's like it's just hard for me to put a lot of stock in Akiyama winning because I don't see what you gain out of that. Yeah, what do you gain from Akiyama winning?
Imagine getting Ishii versus Orange Cassidy for the All Atlantic belt. That would have been
awesome. That would have been awesome too. Exactly. Anything. But yeah, it's hard to go with Akiyama here. I think Kingston is the only way. Like you said, he needs a win. He benefits here. There's no point in making him lose another singles match for no reason.
All right. And Gina, you the same?
Yeah, I've gone with Kingston for similar reasons. And for me, I was like, well, they got the win on Rampage, so if there's going to be another match, I think this is for Eddie to get his win over him. But I look forward to it because I'm not really familiar with Akiyama. I think that might be the first match I've seen of him, so I do look forward to seeing him in another match.
Yeah, without a doubt. And we get the buy-in, the last match of the buy-in, the Eliminator semi-final. Brian Cage versus Ricky Starks. Monty, I'll start with you with this one.
Ricky Starks.
No, Gina. Gina.
Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks. Hear me.
Just pull that
hear me. I just come in.
Wait.
Yeah. I choose Ricky Starks to win. Did you
Did
get
you?
that?
I did not know you were going to pick Ricky Starks. That's so
I kept
shocking.
you in suspense. I kept you in suspense.
Right? Who could have guessed it?
Right.
Yeah, same here though. I like Brian Cage, but I like Brian Cage, but I think he's here just for that reason to have Ricky kind of prevail, even if it's going to be tough after what happened to Ricky after his match. They really tried to stack the deck. It looked like, but yeah, I think Brian Cage is still going to take this loss.
Yeah, and Jaxie.
Yeah, I feel like this is a true underdog story for Ricky Starks. Like he's always gonna have not have the upper hand. So I've gone with Ricky Starks on this one because I feel like it's like one of those underdog stories.
I hope you and I have gone different on one. Otherwise, it's going to be the most boring predictions. No,
listen, I have to be really careful and strategic because I've got a lot of pressure on me. In case you didn't realize,
got pressure. But if you have got pressure on you and we have gone the same, then I might change one just to make it a bit more fun. Obviously, not.
You change something because if I changed and then I lost to you, I would totally feel like you just set me up for it. So
Never hear the end of it.
That'd be great. I've got Ricky Starks on this one. Obviously, Ricky Starks. Next one, Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal versus Sting and Darby Allin. This should be, again, quite an easy result. I'm going for the faces, Sting and Darby in this one. I don't know what to expect, whether it will be good or absolute clusterfuck. Jaxie, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, Darby Allin really needs a win at this point. They need something. And Sting's only just coming back. So, of course, they're going to do some sort of, big moment with Sting as well, probably. So I've gone with them.
Oh, if he's not dying off a structure, then I want my money back.
Right?
Exactly.
I'm expecting it.
Yeah. Monty, what about you in this one?
That's how much the Sting spot has been done. Like you feel like this ain't really a Darby and Sting match if he doesn't dive or something, right? At this point, you're expecting it. But yeah, I'm going with the baby faces also here. Part of me was like, they wouldn't make all of this noise to bring Jeff Jarrett in just to have him lose. But I'm like, of course they would, especially against Sting and Darby. And I think Darby, like you mentioned earlier, definitely needs a victory because you talk about Wardlow. He's another guy who, as far as importance, I don't think he is even nowhere near on the radar where he was when he was TNT champion. So I think he definitely needs it.
Yeah, I think so as well. Gina?
Yeah, I've gone with Sting and Darby as well for pretty much all the same reasons. And to be honest, it's not going to be a bad thing for Jeff Jarrett coming in and then losing. I mean, for him, he's just like, hey, I'm getting some screen time and some more relevance again. So for me, it's like, why not come here? And it's not like he's going to be in regular matches every week where this will damage his reputation coming into the company. If anything, this is what the fans want to see anyway. With the fact that we've got Sting on our screens, it's just great to have this nostalgia as well. So yeah, as much as I'm excited to see this showdown between them both again, I've gone with Sting and Darby to win.
I don't think Jeff Jarrett's worried about ruining his reputation. Great. Interesting match to see. Up next, Britt Baker versus Saraya. And this, again, is a big matchup. The face of the women's division, irrespective of who the champion is, Britt Baker, and has been for the last 3 years, versus a woman that's not wrestled in the last 5. A woman that kind of started the women's revolution, you could argue, in NXT and WWE, Saraya and Paige. Gina, this is a huge match because this sends a statement of where things will go. And part of it is very similar to a Darby Allin versus CM Punk match we had about a year ago on pay-per-view as well.
I mean, yeah, this match was really hard for me to predict. I was back and forth quite a lot with who I was going to expect to win because in every kind of wrestling fan's eyes, they're going to want to see Saraya win. It's her first match back after how many years off due to such an injury that none of us thought she was going to come back. So you would expect, no, Saraya is definitely going to win this. But if you want to talk about great storytelling, they really shouldn't have her win this. They should have her lose, probably to tomfoolery again, thanks to Rebel getting involved or something. But I definitely think that I've gone with Britt for the win here because I feel like they could do a really good long long storyline in terms of, Saraya losing hair, having to go back to the beginning and working her way through the ranks and then getting back to that top spot to go against Britt. And ideally, Britt will be the champ again by then, maybe. And Saraya gets it. I don't know. But I think that would be a better storytelling for this match. But yeah.
Yeah, this is a really difficult one to call, so I'm going to go Jaxie first. What do you reckon?
Do you know, that was interesting to hear you say that, Gina, because I actually went with Britt as well, but kind of not for that reason. It was more the case of the promo, the last promo that Britt did just before, obviously, we've got Full Gear coming up, really talked about, how much she carried the company and everything like that. And it actually made me realize, yes, she really is sort of the first sort of women's face of that division, all prior to before Saraya came in. And I did see it more actually, she kind of needs this win as well. Britt's not really been having to as much luck go there yet, and I felt like with another match going forward that we'll talk about soon, that has some involvement with Britt as well, it would come across better if Britt won. So yeah, I've gone with Britt as well.
Monty, are you surprised they've both gone Britt?
No, like you guys mentioned, it was actually tough. So no, I'm not surprised. I get it. I'm the only thing that made me go in the opposite direction. So I picked Saraya is because it's just from as long as I've watched wrestling, I know Tony is unique, so he could say screw all of what I'm thinking. But it's just whenever someone, it's not even just that it's a comeback match. Like I saw Kushida lose his comeback match to New Japan, but he was in another promotion. He wasn't, done with wrestling completely, and it's just it's the same thing with Punk. He came back from complete absence from the wrestling business, and we saw how that turned out. So it's just it's just hard for me to see Saraya losing here in her very first match after the emotional, with the stuff that we know she went through. It's just I don't know. This would be very unique. Now I wouldn't be opposed to it because again, it makes sense. I agree with you guys. It would make a decent story, and it makes sense because of what a lot of what Britt Baker has been saying, but I don't know. It's just hard for me to go. I didn't want to go against my first mind or my gut, so I'm sticking with Saraya, and I'm gonna say she's gonna, she's gonna show everyone that she still got it, and she's gonna win, and they still can continue this feud if they want to, honestly. So I don't necessarily think her winning or losing matters in this sense, but I don't know. I'm just sticking with my gut there.
Yeah, the thing is even talk about Punk and Allen and thinking, maybe what's best for business is probably winning. But Saraya's been signed to a big money contract to be the kind of the lead of the women's division, and whether she wins the title or not, I think victory over Britt is going to be very important. And I look at it more like Shawn Michaels' return back in 2002 against Triple H, where
in 2002, Triple H,
get the victory. Even if it's a quick roll up or Britt's in control of the match,
right?
Saraya gets it, and then Britt to get the heat back, attacks the
go over her neck and
stretch a job. People going, "You bastards!"
She's just it's such a difficult one, this one, because I can actually see how valid both of your points are as well, and it makes me sort of think, oh God, have I gone with the wrong decision? But I feel this is such a 50-50 one that is so hard to call at this point. I feel like there's a lot riding on this match, I think. I think we're all going to be watching this match with great anticipation of what that outcome's going to be.
This is what the predictions are all about. When we get down to the nitty-gritty.
Split down the middle? Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. Up next, still cage match, Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus Lucha. So, Jaxie, surely. This has got to go one way. If Christian comes out and pins him in 30 seconds, I quit.
This is isn't it a cage match?
Yes, still
cage right?
match.
So, Jungle Boy's got to win this. Jungle Boy's been beat down so much, and I think there's this character change that's been trying to happen with him, and they just need to actually go full flow with it now, and like this needs to. I kind of like don't want to see Jungle Boy in this ongoing, consistent feud with just these two. Like I want him to go out there and actually have other promos, other matches with other wrestlers. So I've gone Jungle Boy, and I want him to really just be able to avenge everything that Christian's done at this point.
Yeah, without shadow of a doubt. Monty, you the same thought?
Yeah, 100% has to win this match, and like you just pointed out, this has to be at least. Well, let's at least take a break from it. They can revisit this when Christian is closer to come back from his injury, and maybe then him and Christian can actually fight over this history that they have. But it'll be nice to see Jungle Boy doing something else now, and getting this victory to finally put Luchasaurus behind him, at least for now, and he can chase a championship. There's plenty of them to chase at this point.
Yeah, without shadow of a doubt. And Gina?
Yeah, I've also gone with for the same reasons, basically.
Yeah. No. Not a lot else to say, I completely agree.
Yeah, I don't really have much to comment. It's just the same thing as I don't want Jungle Boy to get hit with this stigma of just being a one-trick pony by being stuck in this constant storyline. Wait until Christian's better again, then revisit the storyline, but just kind of end it here and now, I think.
Yeah, without doubt. And then the TBS title on the line, Jade Cargill, the actual champion, versus Nyla Rose. And again, this has been more entertaining than it maybe should have been, with time constraints on the women's division as it was. But again, the straight up fight between the two. Monty, this only got to go one way.
Agreed. It's just also Jade has to win here, not only because of just how the storyline has played out. It would make more sense for Jade to just reclaim what's hers. Nyla was, and I don't mind the entertaining side of Nyla. I love it, but everyone knows when she was women's champion and when she was first initially doing her thing, she was a monster. She's the beast. You know what I mean? So it's just funny to me how even though as entertaining as this being, it's funny to me how she seems more threatened by Jade instead of the other way around. Like, Jade is not sweating Nyla at all. And Nyla's a former champion. Like I said, someone who was dominant even if it was a short period of time or not as long as it could have been or not as important as it could have been when it comes to her run. So, again, I'm going with Jade Cargill, though, to retain. It just makes the most sense here.
Yeah, without a doubt. Gina, what about you?
Yeah, same. Jade Cargill to win. I don't see Nyla being the one to break the long reign that Jade's got. It has gone on long enough. I've enjoyed it, but I am looking forward to Jade's next conquest, to be honest.
Right, and Jaxie finally with this one.
Yeah, obviously gone for Jade too, with the same reasons. I don't think that Nyla should be the one to cause Jake's streak to be lost. I also kind of feel like I agree with Monty in the sense of I remember when how much of a big sort of formidable moment it was for Shida to finally overcome Nyla Rose during her reign, and Shida had a great match with Nyla. At one point nobody knew who was going to actually take the belt off of Nyla. So even though I do like this entertainment side, at the same time, for Jade to not have any sweat over Nyla as an opponent going into this, I feel like there should have been a bit more of that, just because Nyla is a former champion, has actually come across quite well at certain points. This is just more the entertaining factor that's coming into it at the moment. So we'll see what it goes, but I feel like this match will go great tonight.
And then we got the Ring of Honor World title on the line. The Ocho, Chris Jericho versus Sammy Guevara, Bryan Danielson, and Claudio Castagnoli. I am going to go for this one, Chris Jericho. It's there, staring me in the face. I can see a four-way match. I know with Sammy, would he turn on Jericho, would he not? We'll probably get more about Danielson and Claudio going at it, with Jericho getting a win. I'm not sure on who, maybe even Danielson to continue down that heel route. Because the thing is, we've got a Ring of Honor pay-per-view coming up in December. So that makes more sense having a Jericho versus Claudio one-on-one match than it does someone winning the championship here. For me, anyway. Jaxie, what about you?
I've actually gone with Chris Jericho as well. This is my playing it safe card. I really couldn't see who the belt would change to during this match. And I do feel like this is going to be one of those matches where everyone does expect a title change, but it's not going to happen. As you said, he's the Ocho, and he's been running through different Ring of Honor, former Ring of Honor champions now. I think it's going to be someone like that's going to be quite crucial to the potential aspect of Ring of Honor television coming back to TV, who will finally dethrone Chris Jericho. So I think they'll keep the belt on him a bit longer.
Yeah, I think you're right there as well. Monty, what about you?
Yeah, man, same boat, man. I'm sticking with Jericho. I couldn't get convinced about either side, Danielson's or definitely. I think we know Guevara is probably going to take the pin or something of some sort, maybe. Or maybe I'm wrong. He could not, but still, I don't think he's going to win. And only people I was even considering would be Claudio. But again, we're going back. He was the champion, so it's like, why would you do that now after doing all of this Ocho stuff with Jericho, like you mentioned? And I just want to say this real quick. When you mention a comeback for Ring of Honor, I was hoping it would be former three-time world champion Adam Cole, but the reports I'm hearing are not necessarily the best as far as his health. So I'm just really wishing him the best. I hope he get well. But I was hoping that all this was to bring back maybe a babyface Adam Cole or something, but because he's one of the most successful Ring of Honor people I can think of. But there's plenty of them. They have a long list of people to go through, so we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, Jericho, I think, is going to retain here by hook or by crook, probably by Floyd, something like that.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Gina, what about you?
Yeah, again, I've gone with the same. I played it safe and I chose Chris Jericho. Again, like Monty said, I couldn't really choose any of the other, see them winning it here. If any of them, it probably would have been Claudio, I guess, but to be honest, I don't see it. I see Chris Jericho retaining.
And then we got the AEW Interim Women's Title match. Toni Storm taking on Jamie Hayter. Gina, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I don't know if this is just like a biased opinion, but I've not been wowed by Toni Storm's like run as the women's champ, like others maybe, but there's just something about that's just not been there for me. So for me, I've gone with Jamie. I can see Jamie winning it, and then it possibly starting the beef and storyline between Britt and Jamie. But I don't see Toni winning.
I completely can see Jamie winning and kind of the Britt feud, but the word that sticks with me is interim. Because it's still the interim women's
Yes. Thank you.
So for me, it's
thank you.
Well, Thunder Rosa is going to come back at some point and want a match with the champ. Are they going to have her lose it? And again, it could be Britt costing Jamie the chance to win. A bit like we've seen in recent times, which kind of turns Jamie, makes Hayter. There's no doubt Hayter needs to be a babyface, and they've waited too long to kind of pull the trigger with her. And Toni as champion is just, for me, it's just like la da 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 da, like going about your business, not really effective. We need to kind of change that a little bit. But I'm going to go Toni Storm to defend, but it's going to be tough. Like Jamie will have this one, but Toni will walk out. And like I said, I think we will get Thunder Rosa versus Toni Storm for the proper women's championship, and then the Baker Hayter story can evolve into that. Monty, what about you?
Yeah, that's the thing that hung me up too. Is just like if he would have just go ahead and just call her the exact champion, just stripped Thunder Rosa because she's injured and it's going, it's too long and they can't wait on her to come back because they keep saying they don't necessarily know. They still don't have a timetable on the comeback. So again, it's like, how long are you going to have this belt kind of? And then I feel like you mentioned, if Jamie wins, then it's kind of muddy waters. She lost the belt, or the situation goes on to where do you just fight whoever is the interim champion, or if the belt gets passed around, do you fight all the former interim champions? Like, how does that even work? So it's just it's such a mess when I started to try to figure it out in my brain how it would work out. So I was just like, you know what? Just let Tony retain. Something don't really feel right. Don't feel like the title will change in this feud either. Because that's another thing. You mentioned the run. What type of stories? The only thing we know is that they spent time together during the pandemic. They lived together in the pandemic, and now all of a sudden they hate each other. Like I don't, whatever. Or because Britt, she was not nice to Tony when Tony showed up to work. Like, okay, so what? But anyway, that's besides the point. Yeah, I think Tony's gonna retain. I don't know. It's just I couldn't pull the trigger on Jamie, even though I agree with you guys. It's time. The fans are already starting to make that decision for them.
Yeah.
When it comes to Jamie Hayter.
Jaxie, what about you then?
Yeah, see, so again, this one was a difficult one because I have, I feel like I agree with both points that Gina and Monty have made about both Tony and Jamie. I have gone Jamie, but more so because, with this whole Thunder Rosa, like not knowing how long she's going to be off, I just have a feeling that at some point they're just going to get annoyed with this and they're actually going to take the interim name off and just say Thunder Rosa will get a chance to go back for her belt at some point. I think they're just going to actually give up with this whole interim thing because there is no set date on knowing when she's going to return yet. I think that it's going to get bored really quickly, and I can see someone like Jamie winning it and actually not calling herself the interim, but actually saying, no, I am the women's champion, and just kind of getting rid of that. I also see an amazing match between Jamie Hayter and Thunder Rosa when she comes back. Thunder Rosa coming out, cussing her, you've been the interim this whole time, bitch, I'm coming back, that sort of thing. I can see that happening. So I'm going to go with Jamie on this because I actually think that right now the women's division is slightly suffering, and I feel that it's not been the best run for Tony either. And I think pass it on, like even Monty said, that the fans are even choosing this and making this decision for themselves now anyway. So I think maybe just do something with it because right now it's kind of stale. Yeah. It really is stale. Like this match between Jamie and Tony came out of nowhere. Like you guys said, all we know is that they lived together briefly at some point, you know. So it's kind of like, okay, well, we know we've got good content of the when won't she turn on her sort of storyline with Britt going with Jamie. So let's put like the belt in that sort of like storyline. Let's kind of make some form of importance status back on the belt again, you know. They kind of need that because right now, no offense Tony, but even if you are only seen as the interim, you're also kind of not doing much with the belt. Like it's not had a lot of prominent features, so they need to change it up, and I feel like they could with Jamie.
But couldn't that be I mean, not to start a long discussion, because like I said, we've been doing this quite a while now, but isn't that like just the way of every single championship in AEW right now? You know, when you talk about the interim and the CM Punk bullshit with the world title, the booking of the TNT title with Wardlow, like we say, going off a hill, your Atlantic...
I mean, someone needs to direct Tony a little bit better at this point, because like Monty said, I don't see why they didn't just kind of, like, I know it sounds harsh, but like strip Thunder Rosa in the first place when she initially first got injured. You know, Finn Balor had to do it, and he was the first ever champion and had to do it like 24 hours later after he won the belt. You know, like it's not like it's just like would have been seen as, oh, this is just of course you would do that to a woman, because you know it's happened to other titles as well. It's happened to other wrestlers and they've stepped down and it's not been seen as an interim. And I just think that this word interim is not is actually pulling the status of the title itself down.
Yeah, but it's every championship. Like, so even the Ring of Honor stuff, the two TV champion, or the TV champion now, Ring of Honor, like the Pure champion, the World champion, the Tag Team champions. It's like, how many titles that you can't fit on the show? It's even the Trios titles. I mean,
it's the same. Even you could say even the same with the All Atlantic title at this point. You know, it's just right now Tony needs to be directed with directing like how these belts get their prominence and get that status of feeling important. Everything's kind of lost in different storylines right now of people turning on each other, so it's focused more on storyline and not really revolved around the belts.
Well, it's even the case of rather than Ring of Honor getting a show, concentrate on AEW. You know, like that's the whole reason we watch Dynamite is for AEW stuff, and it's been so much neglect recently that I'm hoping this pay-per-view turns things around. Because even talk about the trios title with the Elite winning, and then obviously being stripped after the kind of debacle. There is going to be, he has said, there is going to be a the press conference, wherever it is, after this pay-per-view as well. So we are got the potential there.
Well, I mean, I hope that if there is going to be a press conference, can we make sure that someone's got Tony, like, a prompt? Can someone be in his ear? I mean, I would just have someone in his ear going,
can someone take his drugs away before he does what's going on?
Just,
like, we just need someone there to watch Tony at this point, because of right now, like, we don't want any more like bad press coming from any more media scrums. So
I cannot believe he's done it. So we have got, like I said, a couple of matches left. The AEW Trios title, Death Triangle versus the Elite. Jaxie, which way would you go in this one?
I mean, there's only one way to go, really. We've got the Elite coming back. If the Elite don't come back and claim their titles, then, like, what is the point? This is the ball that you cannot drop. So I've gone Elite all the way.
Monty, what about you?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think, like you mentioned, not only is it a comeback match, but it's really hard. And we'll talk about this again in a minute. It's really hard for me to go with the team that has, like, a little bit of turmoil going on. It's not bad. They seem together on the most recent Dynamite, but Death Triangle low-key has been, having trouble. I obviously want them to go the more heel route. Penta seems to be more in between, or not really. He seemed to be on his brother's side, or with Phoenix. So, yeah, I don't know, man. It's hard for me to go with Death Triangle in their current state, especially with the situation and the fact that these are the Elite original. This is the Elite original reign anyway, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Gina?
Yeah, I mean, I've even done my hair in the same style that Kenny Omega has his hair in the graphic. So I've gone with the Elite tonight. I do love Death Triangle. Yeah, yay, Kenny. But I do love Death Triangle, and I do have a soft spot for Pac, so it does hurt me to watch them lose it. But I definitely think that's the direction that they're going tonight.
Yeah, I've gone Elite as well. And it's weird you say about hairstyles, because I've got the same hairstyle as Wardlow, the TNT champion, who will be fighting Samoa Joe and Powerhouse. Monty, I mean, this match, how the fuck did we get it? I don't care. We're going to enjoy it, though, because it's big, meaty men slapping meat. It can't go wrong.
Yes. Can't go wrong with that, man. Big E put it best. It's something about it, and this is going to be awesome. We know Wardlow, not only is he a big man, he's an athletic freak, so he's going to do something crazy, or at least something that we think he shouldn't be doing as far as with his size. Will Hobbs is going to impress with his power and presence, and we know what Joe brings to the table, veteran submission skills, strikes. So it should be fun, man, but it's just really hard for me to go with. I couldn't go with the current Ring of Honor TV champion. Just like that don't make any sense at all. So I'm just thinking maybe it's out of Will Hobbs and Wardlow. And as much as I'm with you guys on the way Wardlow's reign is, I just don't necessarily know if this is the time for Will to win it. Now it would work out. It can work out perfectly. Maybe even with Wardlow not even getting pinned. But I don't know. It's really hard for me to believe that, because now Joe has to get pinned or whatever. So it's like, it's weird, when the more I think about it. So I'm just going to make Wardlow retain in my mind. I can't really book this. But yeah, let's stick with that.
Gina, what about you?
Yeah, see, I've gone the opposite. I've actually gone Hobbs to win, because I think, like, they need to do something to give Wardlow, like, a bit of a push onto this screen and, like, be hunting for something. And here, like, they've got the opportunity for Powerhouse to pin Joe. The thing is, Joe is like Joe. Even if he does get the pin, to be honest, I don't think it'll hurt him at all, because everyone still knows if you're in a match against Joe, you're still going to get hurt. You're going to get beat, regardless as to whether he loses this or not. So I think he can afford to take the pin, and Hobbs will get it, and that will give sort of Wardlow sort of a bit of a warpath to be like, look, I didn't lose my belt. I need to get that back. So whoever I got beat to get back in that path to get my belt back, then I will. So I've gone with that angle.
Oh, that's interesting enough. Jaxie, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I actually went with Will Hobbs too, but for a different like a different reason. I kind of like saw it more like, you know, every good story, like there's always a good story involved when you've got like the title on the bad guy and you have the babyface sort of like trying to make the run for it, you know, and you know, who better to take the belt off of Will Hobbs than someone like Ricky Starks, who he's had beef with or issues with right now, and right now Wardlow's having issues with Samoa Joe. Do you know what I mean? So I could totally see Will Hobbs capitalizing on Wardlow's potential win against Samoa Joe. Like I see a Parabon Symphony waiting to happen, and then Will Hobbs just dashing Wardlow out the ring, picking up the pin. You know, so yeah, I've gone with Hobbs.
Yeah, I've got to go Wardlow. Like I said, he's at the right time for if he's going to get his first like championship win. I'd love to happen one-on-one situation, you know, where kind of show again if he does walk out as champion, I wouldn't be that upset. But the thing is about who gets pinned, and I think out of Joe, Wardlow, and Hobbs, there's more chance Hobbs getting pinned in a triple threat match than anybody else.
I mean. That's also true.
Yeah, which worries me. Again, it could be, you know.
But then again, do you know when we were having that conversation just like not too long ago about like how important any of the titles feel right now? That's kind of how I feel about the fact that Samoa Joe is a Ring of Honor television champ. You know, it just kind of doesn't really feel like it's overly important anyway. You know, so we could definitely be wrong and taking a big risk here, but I also kind of just see, like I said, with Will Hobbs just kind of like coming in and stealing the win, you know?
Yeah. It would be interesting to see what happens. Our penultimate match to pick is the AEW World Tag Team titles, the Acclaim versus Swerve and Our Glory. This is an easy one. Like I said, most of the matches here, I think, you know, been quite easy to call, especially this one, because Swerve and Our Glory are going to fucking break. Swerve is turning on Lee without a shadow of a doubt. And they cannot do that if they're going to be tag team champions. See, the Acclaimed are winning and expect, said Swerve to turn on Lee afterwards as well. Jaxie, what about you?
I don't see Swerve and In Our Glory winning this. I got the Acclaimed as well on this one.
Yeah. Monty?
Yeah, agreed, 100%. There, like you mentioned, that's what I was talking about earlier. It's like it's hard for me to ever bet on a team that's having the type of problems that they have, and it's been so overt about the character switch that but Swerve then went on. It's so overt at this point to where I'm looking at Keith Lee like, why are you still teaming with him? like you claim to try at the end you're gonna turn. You're either gonna let them turn on you like an idiot, or because we all can see it, or you're gonna turn heel yourself. And I've never even seen Keith. We've seen Keith Lee try to be heel, not necessarily his strong suit. So I don't think they should go down that route, honestly, in my opinion. But anyway, I think it's like you mentioned. They're claiming either way it goes, turn on them on tonight or whether it's later. They're claimed are walking out as tag champions.
Yeah, Gina, what about you?
Yeah, I've gone with the same for the exact same reasons.
Yeah, I think, like I said, if Swerve not going to walk out, it's champion, we'd be just like, what the fuck? Especially with no FTR at the pay-per-view, I will just say. But the main event, the AEW World title, the changing of the guard as it was, would it be? And I think this will be quite a moment in AEW history. When we look back on a few years time when MJF's main event at WrestleMania, and they're thinking, why didn't we put the title on him? You know, but who knows what could happen here? Gina, you can be first off for our main event. Who's walking out the AEW World Champion, Mox or MJF?
MJF. Definitely. It's definitely his time with the big fuss he's kicked up, not just in like, off screen antics, but since coming back to AEW screens, he has just made it very, very clear that that is his goal. And I definitely think he will get it. And it's obviously hard not to take into the fact that with the past events that happened, John kind of got roped back into being the champ because of shit that hit the fan. So I definitely think, and I think he was meant to even be going off for a break at that time, but had to come back for this belt. So with that in mind as well, I've definitely gone with MJF, and I do expect him to go to his heelish ways. I have read into this is he turning face storyline, and I think like it's basically to just help add to the match. Everyone's going to think he's going to be this good guy MJF and win the belt and just show how nice he is, and no one's going to expect him to cheat and use dirty tactics in the very last minute to get that win, and he's just going to sit there and give the big finger to the audience with the belt high above his head. That's what I can see happening. So.
And again, if the firm are then in cahoots with MJF, with Stokely Hathaway or anything like that, then it makes, a little bit of sense. Apart from, like we talk about with Ricky Starks or even Page, for the when it was coming, will it be Page versus, heel Page in the firm versus the heel MJF? Will Mox be able to do it at this point in time where MJF be too cocky? But I think I am going to go what you say, Gina. I think MJF's going to show his true colours in this matchup to win the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Jaxie, what about you?
So yeah, I've gone MJF, but I've gone MJF like they took during the promo that John Moxley gave. He talked about how MJF isn't the devil and all this, that, and the other. I definitely see MJF using dirty tactics. I actually think he's still in cahoots with Stokely Hathaway and stuff, and I actually just think that they could also potentially just get involved to help screw over John Moxley, and sort of like, as soon as like MJF pins him, you'll just see that he turns on Stokely and then maybe gives him a hug or whatever like that. Like he's going to prove and show him that he is the devil or whatever, and that's using dirty tactics. And I just see that happening. So I've gone with MJF for sure.
And finally,
plus give John Moxley a holiday.
Finally, to close us out for the predictions, Monty, who's walking out as AEW World Champion?
MJF. And I can make the case that he possibly would have been walking out as the champion if nothing went wrong with Punk and Punk was the champion. I can make that case that's literally how much it just feels like it's time right now. It just feels like it's time to give him that. The fact that he's been in AEW this long, and as far as I know, he hasn't won a title, right? Or am I tripping? It's like he got the ring.
No, it's just the he got the ring and that's it.
That's it. So again, for him to go this long and not be any champion at this point in AEW, just no. And then also we also know the bidding war of 2024 is coming up. So why would the best? If I'm Tony, give him the title for 2023. Try to sway him as much as you can. It makes sense. So,
especially after he's been very open about jumping ship if he needs to.
Right. Yeah. So it just makes sense to keep give him the belt. And let him run with it and see, how far he goes. And I'm with you guys. I don't know if I'm buying babyface MJF at all. But, yeah, I don't think I ever really thought it was a chance that he's literally still calling himself the devil, even if the people – and that's the funny thing about it. It don't really matter. As long as MJF is MJF, some people are going to love it and some people are going to boo the hell out of him. This is how it's going to work. So I don't want any of his antics to change because we love MJF because the fact that he has been nothing but evil. So – I think he's going to show his colors, like you guys said, and MJF will walk out as champion.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens. There are, Jaxie, just looking at it, there's 3 differences between the two of us. So it will be the Sarai versus Baker match, the Jamie Hayter versus Tony Storm, and of course Wardlow, Hobbs, and Joe. So there are the 3 matches that I'll be watching. Hopefully they're the first 3 matches.
Watch
of
it
the
really
night.
closely.
Yeah, hopefully they're like the first 3 matches and I can go to bed at normal time.
Honestly, if those are the first 3 matches and I lose all 3, I'm going to bed.
Well,
Why is it that I kind of want Joe to pull a win and have you both lose that match?
I mean, I'd be
Now, that would be
satisfied
funny.
as long as James didn't get the win either. I wouldn't mind that.
do you know what? That's such a Jaxie and Gina thing to say. You know? Yeah.
Well,
I hope
I
everybody
can't
loses. Like, and they go, yeah, it'd be great. Just really nice.
we
would be
live
guys.
for it. We live for
It
it.
really would be great if you lost, James. That means I would win. So yeah.
Well, guys, the only way to find out who's going to win is by tuning on a Wednesday when we do our AEW Full Gear review show. Who will be the winner? Will it be Jaxie? Will it be James? We'll find out. But that is it for today. We've talked a lot for nearly 3 hours about AEW and, of course, New Japan. But don't forget, social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNRJR. You can find the entire WNR team on a Twitter banner. Or Monty, where can people find you?
Like you mentioned, on your Twitter banner or at Mind Monty Pod on Twitter for as long as Twitter is still here. We're not sure what the hell going on. So since we're not sure, why don't you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Mind of Monty? So yeah.
Jaxie?
Yeah, you can find me at Jaxie Scarlett on Twitter, and once that's died, you can still find me on Instagram at the same name.
Gina?
Same on both platforms. You can find me at Purple Pain.
Yeah, well, the WNR are hedging their bets because we're also on Facebook and Instagram, across all Google platforms, if that's still a thing. Send us an email, the WNR Podcast at gmail.com, YouTube, and the WNR Podcast with all latest clips and podcasts go at the same time on YouTube. SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate and review there. So that is it. Our next episode, like I said, full review of Full Gear coming Wednesday. Until then, I have been James Rowlands and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. And this is not going to sound genuine, but I wish you luck.
Well, this is not going to sound genuine, but I wish you luck as well. But I really do hope you lose. So game on. This is one of 2 war games for me. Okay, so I need as much luck as I can get at this point.
Well, I'm about to say
to find out more.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm laughing because next week this will all be directed towards Monty. And again, Monty,
Yeah.
I appreciate you being here and to take all this next week.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. I can just pretend like I don't care for now because it don't matter. But yeah, next week I might get fired up. We'll see.
Shit will get serious.
And Gina, I guess you could be the Joker and just sit back and watch the WNR Podcast burn.
I mean, I'll be too busy dribbling at Ricky Starks at being in 2 matches. So, yeah, I'll try and remember that you guys are having a rivalry.
Yep.
Yeah, well, until then, like I said, I have been James Rowlands. Thanks for listening, and enjoy AEW Full Gear. Bye.